You're listening to Thunderquack Podcast Network. This is the Thunderquack Podcast, the official podcast of Thunderquack Podcast Network, where anything can happen. So strap yourselves in and hold on to your butts. It's Thunderquack time!
Okay, hello and welcome back to the Thunderquack Podcast, the official podcast of thunderquack.com. You can get it early every Tuesday morning at patreon.com/thunderquack, or you can wait and get it late on podcast services. Wait and get it late every Friday on podcast services across the galaxy. I am one of your hosts, Michael Cohen.
And I'm your other host, Amanda Kunkin.
And we're live. You might not necessarily be listening to this live, but we are live, and we're going to do a very special episode this week. This is our live watch-along of the Rise of Skywalker. So we're going to start it in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk for a little bit first, give people some time to actually jump in here and get into the stream before we start the movie. Make sure that everybody is queued up at if you've got a digital copy at second 0 of your digital copy, however you're watching that. If you've got the Blu-ray, put it in, start the movie, and then just hit pause right away. We might not all be synced perfectly as we watch this together, but you know, it'll be close enough. I think it'll be fine, because you know how it is. Amanda and I aren't going to be like exactly on topic the entire time. So, but this is the first time that we're ever doing one of these. This is really exciting. Amanda, talk for a minute, because I want to tweet out the actual URL.
The link for everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure thing. I hope I'm just going to let everybody know that I am sitting on top of a velociraptor underneath the couch in my parents' basement. It's just like very squeaky. So if you hear me squeaking a little bit, I apologize. But it's kind of interesting, and I said I think everybody that was listening last time knows that I'm here now. I'm a little bit more settled in, and kind of getting back into the groove of it's so weird of kind of stuff that I did back when I was like in high school or even elementary school. I walked past. I did some Pokemon Go today, just trying to get outside a little bit because I was feeling real. I just keep eating. I just keep being fed food here, so I just needed to like leave the house for a little bit and like walk around a bit. But I did. I went past old high school, or not actually high school, old elementary and middle school. So McNichol, which I don't think Mike went to, because Mike went to the high school. So I only saw Mike in. I went to the.
Yeah, I went to a different elementary school, and then I went to the middle school. You guys will hear special guests in the background because it is a little bit earlier than we usually record. So we're pre-bedtime. We're in the lead up to it. Dinner has just finished, so they're both full of their blood sugar is healthy, and they've got lots of energy to make a lot of noise in the background. And Cassie has decided that her primary form of communication is not. It's not a screech. It's not a whine. It's just that sound you just kind of heard in the background. It's just if we're going like, ah. It's adorable, but not really. It doesn't really make for the best audio experience. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
She's
so cute.
Yeah. So they'll actually pop in to say goodnight before they go to bed. So we'll get a chance to say hi, but. Okay.
And are you going to get brought more Slurpees from Kara?
Yeah, I will probably get brought more Slurpee. Cool. I am actually just going to, while we're doing this, because I've got it open on another page, I'm going to just check the audio myself.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's actually working.
I did a test earlier today, and it was fantastic, actually. The audio was great.
Exciting. I like that. I don't know. I like that Mike sets this stuff up, because I actually had technical difficulties of my own, but it was literally just Skype not working. So I can't imagine having to set up the actual live stream part of it to get it out into the world. So thank you, Mike, for continuing to do that while I sit here and try to figure out how to make Skype work so that I can talk to you across the void.
It plays an ad at the beginning. I didn't realize it was going to play an ad at the beginning. It's definitely doing a full thing. You know what? While we're live, I don't know that anybody's here. There's a chat on this page. So if you are in here listening, if you can just chat and let us know that you're here.
Because there's not like a real way to like see, is there? I don't know. We're using Spreaker, right? Which is like the new hosting thing, which is different than Mixler. So it's like not quite the same for like seeing how many people are listening and all that stuff. Or is it?
Yeah, I can't. I don't know that I can see how many people are in here. It's actually we're using Spreaker. And it's the first time that we've done it. As far as I can tell, there's no way to schedule it and give you guys the URL ahead of time. So I have to kind of like throw it out to you guys on the fly, because when it actually I can't even go based on like, oh, I know what I'll title the episode, because it puts in like in the code right now is 1190946/TROS-Watchalong, right? If it was just going to go by the URL or by the title, then I could have gone, oh, it's Spreaker.com/show/Thunderquack/ and then the title, and predict that that's what it was going to be. But so we got to kind of like tweet it out and make sure that everybody knows what's up. But I don't know that anybody is even going to be able to really join us. If they are, sound off in the comments right now, because it doesn't give us any kind of number, any kind of stats, as we're recording, as far as I can tell. But it does give me the ability to do what I did at the beginning, which was play the intros, and the audio quality is awesome. So those were the driving factors of us using this platform as opposed to using YouTube, which I don't know what just happened out there, but the audio quality is great, but using Mixler and YouTube, the audio quality hasn't been great. Actually, we haven't used Mixler, but they wanted money from me, and we're already all sorted out with Spreaker, so I figured we'll go that way. But
I like that it seems pretty like clickable, because I just went onto Twitter and like your link, it shows like the stream like in the tweet, and you can just hit play and like listen through Twitter.
Really? Oh, well, that's even better.
It's, like, really sweet. I know, yeah. So I like didn't even have to go. I just literally like clicked on the link in Twitter, and I could hear it play back. So it's like I'm pretty stoked.
Awesome, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll start the movie in a minute here. A little bit of a recap, because we are going to do our rank at the end of this. We're going to officially rank the Rise of Skywalker in the Skywalker saga ranking. Our current ranking is as follows. Let's see, how many are there? There are 9 movies, right? So of the 8 that we've ranked. Do you need me to answer that for you? No, you're good. Okay. No, I'm trying to figure out like because I'm not counting. We're not counting Solo and Rogue One at the moment, or any of the Ewok movies. So at number 8 is The Phantom Menace. At number 7 is The Attack of the Clones. At number 6 is Revenge of the Sith. At number 5. We've got A New Hope. At number 4, we've got The Empire Strikes Back. At number 3 is Return of the Jedi. Number 2 is The Force Awakens. And at number 1 currently is The Last Jedi. So that is just the opposite of their order of release. No, not their order of release, but the chronological order. Sorry. So if only fate had been kinder, and we were going to end up with this movie at number 1 and everything shifting, then we would have a nice clean list that's easy to remember. But what we're going to end up with is The Rise of Skywalker inserted somewhere in there, because I'll tell you right now, there's no way that Amanda and I are putting it above the Last Jedi.
We love Last Jedi so much.
Yeah. I guess.
I didn't even think that I have to put it somewhere in the ranking. Now this is like making me. I just sort of automatically assumed that anything other than first was fine, and I could. But now I have to actually like think about where it goes. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, I need to. I should write. I should have. Yeah. Anyways, I should have thought more about where I'm gonna put it in. But I guess we have to like.
We have a whole movie to talk
about. What
we've
been doing. Okay. Good. Okay.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, like, buckle up, because this is going to basically be the Reylo commentary for the Rise of Skywalker. A lot of the conversation in this is going to be about, I would say, like, 4 things, okay? It's going to be about the connection between Rey and Ben Solo / Kylo Ren. And what they did well and what they definitely missed the mark on for a lot of it. And then how they did Finn real dirty in this one. How they absolutely didn't use Poe Dameron to the best of their ability in the 3rd act. And how ridiculously egregious Kelly Marie Tran was treated as the character Rose.
So upsetting.
Those are really going to be the main topics, and then there's going to be some other things around whether or not they pulled off having Leia in this movie or not, and sort of the ridiculousness of bringing Palpatine back and what that all means. So I'm gonna say like let's just kind of give it one more minute. And then we're going to start the movie. And I'm sure that it doesn't seem like there's anybody in the live chat. If you're on Twitter, let us know. Just shoot us a tweet. But I'm going to tweet regularly throughout this. I'm going to try. But I'll also be distracted because although I have a lot of problems with this movie, it's still very good. It's not, this is like critiquing a pizza. Right? It's like, well, it's still pizza. So yeah, let's do it, I guess. Let's get, are you ready? You have your mouse over the play button?
Yeah, I got, oh no, where did it go? Oh yes. Okay. It's here. I was tweeting and stuff. So I'm ready now. I'm going to get out of my Facebook. I'm going to get out of my Twitter, and I'm ready. I'm ready. Whenever you are, I have my finger over the play button.
Okay, I'm going to count down from 3. So for everybody,
okay.
If you're listening later, like just so everybody knows, you got to be at minute 0, second 0. Okay, that's where we're at right now. I'm going to count down from 3, 3, 2, 1, and then I'll say play. When I say play, hit the play button. Okay.
Now, is yours at 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 51 seconds? Because I think that's important to like point out that is what the time code of my overall movie is.
Yes. Mine is 52 seconds, but I'm sure that discrepancy doesn't
maybe
really
1 second off. Oh no.
Doesn't mean anything.
Okay. That's fine.
Are you at 0000000?
I am at 0. Of course I am, Mike.
Okay.
Hey. Ooh, I pulled it over a little bit. It did have 52 in there. But it
there
said 00000.
Okay.
I guess maybe
Are you ready? Are you
yes,
officially ready?
So ready?
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm officially ready.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1, play. All right.
I'm glad you said the play because I was like, oh my gosh, do I click it on one or after
I
one?
literally just
I wasn't
explained
really
it, and you weren't listening to
Fine.
what I was saying.
But I did it.
I wasn't doing that for the people at home. I was doing
I
that
know,
for
you're
you.
doing it for me.
There we go, Star Wars.
Hey, cool. Can you hear my music? Because I can hear mine. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no,
it's not like...
I can't hear yours. I can hear my own movie.
Good.
Episode 9 here. I'm gonna read the crawl for everybody.
Cool.
The Rise of Skywalker. For you might have kids at home that aren't of reading age. I have to read these for Kara every time. The dead speak. Oh boy. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine. General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence, while Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, trains for battle against the diabolical First Order. It's always interesting which ones they capitalize, right? Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rages in search of the Phantom Emperor, determined to destroy any threat to his power. I love I do actually really like this crawl. It sets up a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, the story that it's setting up disregards a lot of stuff and like rushes us right into it rushes us like right into this story of Palpatine being back without any setup. But I do love that
I don't know if I like that.
That Phantom Emperor element at the end, because that's obviously a callback all the way to episode 1. Because we know that this whole story, all 9 movies, have always been about the Skywalker family and the Palpatine family. That's why Palpatine wasn't mentioned in 5 out of the 9 movies. They don't even say his name, but that's fine. It's not about the Palpatines and the Skywalkers. It's about the Skywalkers, but that's okay. Our boy Kylo is on screen. Look, you guys know. I hope that everybody knows, but I'm gonna put this right out there. Going into this movie, I was not a huge fan of Kylo Ren. I definitely appreciate him as the villain of this story. I definitely love Adam Driver's performance as the character, but not. I didn't love the character in the way that I love Obi-Wan or Poe or Kanan Jarrus or any of the Star Wars characters that I really love. Even at this point now, Darth Maul. But then through various experiences that I've had over the last few months. Oh no, mine just buffered. Oh,
no, mine
damn it.
Not. Uh-oh. I'm just going to continue to enjoy watching.
Yeah.
Do you want me to like explain what's going on?
Yeah, tell me where you're at. Oh no.
Okay,
this is no good.
He just came out of the. Oh shoot! How do I explain what's happening in the?
You just describe what is happening on screen.
As soon as he lands, I'll say as soon as the foot comes down, because I know that's gonna happen. I think after he gets out of the so he's in the spaceship inside it right now, and now that we're at the lightning of the whatever.
Mine is like almost frozen.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And
okay. I'm actually.
Oh no, it's him coming towards me now, which is great. And the lightsaber. Him coming into this cave the second time is way better than this first time. I get that this is supposed to be all ominous and stuff.
What's your time code? What's your time code at?
My time code is 3:48. So we just entered. He's just coming lowering in this virtual elevator.
Tell me when it hits 4.
Okay, I will. In 2, 1, 4.
Okay.
I'm at 4 minutes now. That's a good place, because that's when.
Yeah, he's just creeping up.
Yeah, I forgot that I put the subtitles on so that I could see them. So it's good. I haven't watched this before with subtitles. So.
But yeah, so I was saying before that I didn't really have that much of a love for the character of Kylo Ren, but learning from a lot of people online about the dynamic with Rey and Kylo, and then definitely talking a lot with you, Amanda, about the parallels to things like Pride and Prejudice, of all things, that we had our conversation about a month ago. Actually, it's almost 2 months ago now. A long time ago. And realizing that, I just didn't understand the romantic angle of this. Cassie's not happy in the background, in case you guys can't tell.
I'm paying too much attention to the Emperor being revealed right now. But maybe that's just because I can only half hear you, because I'm mostly listening. I'm listening in the same ear for both you and the movie.
I would say turn down your audio a little bit for the movie. But
it is pretty. Oh, now I can hear your girls. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, now that I actually have an appreciation for the relationship between these two characters, between Rey and Kylo Ren / Ben Solo, however you want to frame that for yourself. We're establishing visually it's really important that we see that antenna array, because it's it's so integral to the plot. We'll get there. Don't worry.
I really hope somebody's watching this, listening to this, that hasn't watched Rise of Skywalker.
That's never watched the movie.
Not doing it.
But yeah, so now I love this character. It's so funny going back, but that it actually kind of almost makes the movie a little bit worse for me because of the way that it ends. So
right, yeah, that's fair. I like that his eyes were red. Like, it's just like it the thing that kind of frustrates me about this is that it really does, even from the beginning, he's not who he was at the end of The Last Jedi. And that's okay, also, question for you. This, like, who is she? Don't you think it should cut in the next scene to be about Rey? But instead, it's the Poe scene. Like, it seems like that was recut incorrectly. Like, I just fully disagree that it shouldn't have gone directly to Rey next.
I think we will learn a few years from now how much trouble this movie had getting to the point that it's at when it's released.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of things in this that are like, there's a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor. We'll talk about Rose. There's a lot of last minute elements that don't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of stuff that was figured out in the middle of production that are major story points. That if you've watched the documentaries, you'll know stuff that really needed a lot more care and attention. And JJ's approach to filmmaking is much more, I don't know, we'll make it up as we go. And then he does his mystery boxes, and that's fine if it's a movie like Super 8 where you never have to answer the question, but you have to answer questions in Star Wars movies when you post them. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, George Lucas didn't throw in Luke, I am your father. That's not what he says. He says, no, I am your father. But you know what I mean? Like, they didn't throw that moment in unless he knows that they're making a third movie. Right. Yeah.
Because you can't just like let that. Oh, yeah. Does it bother anybody else that? Okay, I'm getting, because I'm just watching in subtitles, but that everybody calls him R2, like Artoo.
No, that's how you spell R2 phonetically.
Yeah.
You don't read Star Wars novels, or comic books, so this is all like different for you. But this is since the 90s. This is how you.
It seems like maybe this was supposed to be the opening, but it's too slow of a start, so that's probably why they didn't do it. And then they did that, but they should have. They should have started with this and then gone to Kylo and then gone to.
I agree.
Anyways,
I agree. I think like the Kylo opening is great. I love 90% of it.
Yeah.
But it's out of place. It's weird. It's the weirdest start to a Star Wars movie. It doesn't follow the pattern. And it's like, I'm okay with breaking away from that. But if you're going to make a distinction between saga Skywalker movies and then the standalone films, do whatever you want in Solo and Rogue One, right? Like, play jazz, go crazy.
Yeah.
But if it's the Skywalker saga,
you gotta do
there are rules, right? You kind of have to follow a few things, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's the least of my concerns. But
the thing that really bothers me for this is like, why, like, I actually think The Force Awakens was quite good. Like, I actually think that JJ did a really good job with it, and I just don't understand what happened with this movie. Like, I don't get it. And is it because it was supposed to be so Leia skipping? I said skipping because they're like be skipping, but Leia focused, and then they had to completely like right turn and like rewrite the plot and like rethink it.
I think that two things. I think that two things affected the production of this film very heavily, and one of them is the exit of Colin Trevorrow and JJ coming in to replace him last minute, and Carrie Fisher's death. I think that those two things really broke the plan. And
who was Colin Trevorrow? I didn't know about this.
Colin Trevorrow directed the first Jurassic World movie, and he was set to direct this. And his script is out there. The one that he was working on with his screenwriter. Which was tentatively titled Duel of the Fates. And to be honest, like, Duel of the Fates is not a better movie than this. In fact, I think Rise of Skywalker is a better movie in almost every way. I just want to call this scene out while we're in it. This is so awkward, and I love Daisy Ridley with every fiber of my being. That scene was not good, and it needed another take. I know it was difficult, but
even the like, oh, you're not with me, like that weird like be with me thing, and then she comes down and she's like, you're not with me. Like it was just it's just like a weird.
It all feels look. This is gonna sound like an episode of Quiver. It's very contrived. It's very like nothing in that scene. Later on, the one with Rose and Snap and Leia is great. I love that scene where it's like, do me a favor, be optimistic. And he's like, I think this is great. Everything's going to work out fine. I'm like, that's fun. And that was using the footage that they had as best as they could. That scene felt like they went, okay, we have these lines of dialogue. I guess we'll write some stuff for Rey to say around it. And the way she kind of parrots back what Leia says, it's a bit of a runner in the movie, and it doesn't work for me because it's always just reminding me, oh yeah, that's right, she's not there, right? So I don't know, like
it is a weird choice where it's like, why was that the best option? Is to just reuse footage that already existed? Like, how was that the best option? Anyways, it's fine.
Matt Campbell's not in the live watch, but he does want to say hi to everyone.
Oh, good. Hi, Matt.
He'll listen later. He's got kids to deal with himself. So, yeah. So what's your interpretation of this when she kind of goes a little bit dark sidey here? Do you feel like Kylo Ren is influencing her? Because that was my read of it in the theater.
That's Kylo talking to her.
Yeah.
Like that was him, not her necessarily there. Like when she's like listening, it's her connecting with him and thus like being reminded that they've got that
the connection.
That connection, right? And that wasn't her though. That was like him and her like having a little bit of a joint like force sesh, if you will. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the force Skype, right? Force time is what some people called it. Like FaceTime, get it?
FaceTime? Yeah, Force Skype. I like Force Skype.
But yeah, what was I talking about before the Leia stuff? I don't remember. I'm sure it'll come back. It'll come back. I think just the Colin Trevorrow aspect of it.
Oh right, yeah.
So yeah, I like the Duel of the Fates script has some really great stuff in it. Stuff that I would have liked to have seen in this movie. This is the better movie of the two, but it also had more time to not more time, but it got further into the production development, right? So what we saw of what we read of the screenplay that leaked is not what the final movie would have been, and I think that the final movie had the potential to actually be better than what we got with this one. But I think that
I do enjoy.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're about to go into a fun part. I enjoy that Poe and Rey don't really like each other. Like I don't know.
Okay. It's not that they don't like each other; they just don't get along.
Well, I know. Yeah.
They're oil and water, but it's in their little throuple that they have with Finn. It's this to me. So as much I really wish that all the stuff with Zuri and Poe wasn't as overt as it is, particularly the scene at the end of the movie where they give the eye, where he gives her the eye and she shakes her head no. Because I want to believe in my head that Finn and Poe
are together.
And the dynamic here between the three of them is like Poe is always just a little bit jealous of Rey because Rey is Finn's best friend. Right. But Poe is Finn's partner, right? Like, so it's that's a very real dynamic of like, no, they love each other. They absolutely do. And at the end of the movie, we see that they mean something to one another, but somehow Palpatine returned. This is a meme now. The somehow blank returned is a great meme. And there's our first view of Rose. And
then Dominique friggin', why is he in everything in this movie? Give all of his lines to Rose. And
no. See, here's the thing: is that we have our main trio, right? We have Rey, Finn, and Poe. That's our main group. What we really needed was to check back in more frequently throughout the movie, which we were supposed to, with our other main trio, which is Rose, Connix, who is played by Billie Lourd, Carrie Fisher's daughter, and Dominic Monaghan's character, Beaumont Kin. They're like the actual rebel soldiers, right?
Right, and
so,
we should have just like paid more attention to them.
Yeah, in the same way that like in the original trilogy we're focused on Luke, Leia, and Han the whole time, but Wedge is in all 3 movies, right?
Yeah.
And there are other characters in the background, and there's Rogue Squadron and whatnot, and like we do have that as well because we've got Greg Grunberg back in this one as Snap Wexley, who is a member of Black Squadron, which is Poe's squadron. So we have our Rogue Squadron equivalent in this as well. But like we have the other like military strike team, right? It's just the problem is that a lot of it got cut out of the movie. A lot of the dynamic with Rose and Leia got cut out because they couldn't get the effects with Leia to a place where they wanted them
To work.
So
I remember that.
That's what J.J. Abrams has said. To me, like, it's already so obvious to us, I think, because we know that she's not around, that I would have gotten that as good as it could have been, and I just would have left it in the movie because I think that the story suffers for it, and I think that Rose definitely suffers. There are also scenes apparently between Rose and Rey that were cut that is a shame because it would have been one woman talking to another woman in a Star Wars movie, which would have been a big deal. Other than the Leia and Rey dynamic. But and this moment right here is the biggest retcon ever. It's a friend con. Where it's just like just remove any romantic element possible there. But which is frustrating. It's just not that I wanted them necessarily to be together.
No, nobody really wanted them, but it's like they don't deal with Rose's story at all, and it just really kind of sucks. But I don't know. I do. I actually kind of like 3PO's story in this episode.
3PO has the best arc in this film. That's a fact. Yeah. That's science. Yeah. His arc is fantastic in this movie. And he is one of the standout characters, which is awesome because really Anthony Daniels, having been in every single live action Star Wars film, actually I should scratch that. He's in every Star Wars film because he's also in the Clone Wars theatrical movie. So he's the only one who's in all of them because he's in Rogue One and he's in Solo. He's in Rogue One as 3PO. No, so he's not in there as 3PO, but he is in the movie. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and
I love Anthony Daniels.
He's multiple characters in the prequels. So, but yeah, it is good that he kind of got his due. I hate that they leave R2 behind.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But again, maybe if they were supposed to. Well, actually, no, because R2 needs to be there with when Leia dies.
This is true,
right?
Yeah.
So I do like that R2 was there. Like, I think that was significant. So because he's like one of the ones. Hey, who is this? What is this monkey person?
He is a Sith alchemist. So it is his job to basically build things, and he works in with the cloning stuff and all that sort of thing. There's not a ton of information. You know what I'm gonna do? Actually, I'm just gonna roll back and grab my visual guide. If you have more questions like that, let me know, and I'll look and see if it's in the visual guide. Just give me one sec.
That's a great idea. Yeah, because there's all sorts of stuff that like every now and then I'm kind of like, what is happening with this and who is that? And it's just because I don't like. It's hard to Google visual questions because you're like, who is the person that looks like the whatchamacallit, and then you don't really know.
Yeah, the visual dictionary is fantastic, written of course by Pablo Hidalgo, who is the best.
Hey, question, is Exegol something that we knew about before this movie, or did they make it up just for this movie?
They made it up specifically for this movie. It actually I would have preferred if they would have used Moraban, which is the considered the Sith homeworld during the Clone Wars, but that's fine. It's fine, I suppose. Because I'm going to be flippant with this, but because J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio didn't do any research when they were making this movie, unlike Ryan Johnson. Let me see what I've got in here.
I do like that the stormtroopers don't like Kylo Ren. I do think that that's kind of like an interesting, because like before, just when you like backed out, they like the Knights of Ren walked past, and then it's like ghouls, and I just think that that's interesting that there's like that they're kind of like this group of people, but then they don't like their leaders. They're a little bit like,
it's actually been retconned a little bit. There's a comic book, The Rise of Kylo Ren. When things calm down and we can go back to normal, I'll let you borrow the 4 issues, where they actually tell the story of how this moment's so great. I just want to pause for it. It's so good.
Yeah,
it gives this whole thing, and
looking at
they all just turn and look at him, and then the pause.
It is.
And then he looks to see what they're looking at. It's so good. It's so good.
This is definitely, I will say, if nothing else, I enjoy the C-3PO moments in this episode.
Yeah.
I keep calling it an episode. I'm gonna continue to call it an episode.
Yeah. Because, it is an episode. It's episode 9.
Have we ever seen these aliens before?
No, they're new.
Okay.
Like I keep saying, like, this is a good movie. It is a good Star Wars movie. There are just a handful of decisions in it that are between frustrating and infuriating. And like the Poe Dameron stuff at the end it makes me mad. Like, it literally makes me mad. And I know that that's silly because it's just a movie, but it's just like JJ, you created this character with Lawrence Kasdan. You know he's the best pilot in the galaxy. Why doesn't he do anything in the third act?
Yeah.
Like, Wedge Antilles and Lando Calrissian fly their ships inside the Death Star in the third act of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi fly their ships through a ridiculous battlefield in Revenge of the Sith, and then crash land onto the deck of a Separatist cruiser. Like, let him do something. But he doesn't. He doesn't do anything except for be a real big bummer.
Yeah.
Which is also out of character for him. This part,
I do like that this establishing the like the necklace and things. I don't know, maybe I just like really like the force Skype stuff, but you can keep talking. I'm just gonna watch this scene.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk, so I took a bite of a cookie.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, so I got food in my mouth now.
The thing that bothers me for this movie, and I started to say this and then I stopped early on, is that they just reset Kylo Ren's character as if he went through nothing at all in the last movie.
Yeah.
Like so much of like putting the mask back on him. Like, it's just such a cop out where it's like, why couldn't you just continue to evolve him from where he ended in the previous movie?
Yeah.
Like, it just drives me bananas.
And I think that right there is the key to understanding why there are frustrating things in this film.
Yeah.
I think that Ryan Johnson wrote a phenomenal movie along with, I think he worked with a screenwriter. I'll bring it up, but cause I don't want to just attribute it to him if it's not just him, but they created a great story in that film.
Yeah.
And it was challenging for Star Wars. Right? Like, it subverted a lot of stuff, but it still stayed true to what makes Star Wars Star Wars. But it leaves our hero and our villain in very difficult positions at the end of that story. And obviously it was leading into the idea of Leia being the thing that would unite them, bring them back, and help redeem Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen, for obvious reasons. What am I looking for? I'm looking for writer. Where do writers? No, I guess, it just says Ryan Johnson and George Lucas based on characters created by. So yeah, he did write it. And I think that the timeline that JJ had to address these things was not long enough. They should have pushed this movie out by a year. Because
they just had so much to deal with.
Yeah. They
Oh, but it would have been into 2020, and maybe that wouldn't have been a good thing.
wouldn't have been a great thing. But who knows? Maybe if they had done that, maybe COVID-19 would not have been what it was. No.
Sure.
We'll blame it.
Star Wars released a subpar movie.
Yeah,
I'm happy to blame it. I'm happy to blame.
it's not. Again, it's not. It's not even subpar. It's still a great movie. Like this moment with Lando, where he's like, Wookiees tend to stand out in a crowd. It's like, that's the greatest introduction for Lando I could think of. And he's awesome in this. He's so good.
Actually, and the Ochi thing, like this scene, like this stuff that's happening on this planet is rather interesting.
All of the stuff up until they leave Pisana is great. I think that the first act of this movie is a perfect Star Wars movie. It's once they've got that dagger, not once they've got that dagger, but once the dagger becomes important and like they start to understand what it means. And then certainly once they get to Kefbir, the planet that the moon that the Death Star has crashed on, that's when the movie just starts to like piece by piece start to unravel. Because
except for the big giant fight, this does have one of the best fights in all of the movies. I love.
You feel that way about the fight between Rey and Kylo Ren?
I do.
I don't like it, and I know that I'm in the minority on that, and I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something about it that it just doesn't work for me.
Interesting.
This drives me nuts. How do you know how to do that? He's Poe Dameron is how he knows how to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's like because they're building this contrivance that he was a spice runner, and for some reason that's a big deal.
Which is a direct contradiction to established lore. That again, which is why I say that JJ and Terrio didn't do research. They didn't ask anybody. They didn't consult with anybody before. And when they were probably told by the story group, well, that kind of doesn't really mesh, the response was probably like, well, you guys will figure it out. Write a story, make it mesh.
For Poe to be a spice runner, you mean?
So what we knew about Poe going into this movie was that he was so his parents were at the Battle of Endor. They were both rebel soldiers.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, his mother was an A-wing pilot for the rebellion, and this chase scene is fantastic, and the jet troopers are awesome. I just wanted to say that. And the tread bikes are one of the coolest designs in Star Wars. I love the tread bikes; they're so awesome.
You know what? I hate when we do this because now I'm kind of enjoying this movie. And I had sort of resigned myself to not like it. But now you're pointing out all these little pieces that are actually quite good.
There's a lot of good stuff in here. So Poe's mom was an A-wing pilot, and his dad was actually part of Han Solo's strike team on Endor. Yeah. And then we learn that later. You know, we get a comic book called Shattered Empire, which really focuses on Shara Bey, who is his mom. And what's his dad's name? I think is his dad Kel Dameron. I think so. Like I said, it really focuses on his mom, and they were obviously like true believers in the cause, right? And knew Luke Skywalker and knew the Jedi, and like understood what the importance of the Jedi was. And in fact, at the end of one of the stories, they get this tree. It's actually the tree that was at the center of the Jedi Temple way back in the day, and Palpatine removed it from the Jedi Temple, and actually it ends up getting split in two, and one half of it goes with Luke to his new temple, and the other half of it actually goes back to Yavin 4, which is where young Poe Dameron is gonna grow up. And
Poe Dameron grows up on Yavin 4.
Yeah. And so he grows up kind of in the shadow, like literally in the shadow of this tree, like this tree from Luke Skywalker, a gift from the Jedi Master himself. And then eventually grows up to follow in his mother's footsteps and join the New Republic Navy and become an X-Wing pilot. And then when everything starts to go crazy with the First Order, Leia recruits him. Yeah, so dumb. You want to biggest contrivance in the film is Finn suddenly having Force powers. I don't have a problem with Finn being Force sensitive, but like this whole, is it a romantic thing? Oh no, it's actually that he's a Jedi. Like it's so silly. This is that scene.
He's not a Jedi though.
No, he's not a Jedi, but you know what I mean. I'm just being reductive.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
This is good. Be optimist.
It is pretty good.
It's so
I
good.
think it's just because of this actor, though. He's great.
Greg Grunberg, he nails. And well, it's not him. It's, to me, it is Kelly Marie Tran's look of indignation, of like, you're such an idiot, and she turns around to go deal with something else.
Can I just say how cute it is that they call BB-8's noises chirping?
Yes.
I just think that that's really cute.
So then, like, later on, there's another comic series, a Poe Dameron comic series, where like we established what he was doing before The Force Awakens and a lot of his background, and there's a lot of talk about it. And then there's the series Star Wars Resistance, and no time. This is so good. This is a great gag.
The flashlight thing.
Yeah. The look Finn gives him, he's just kind of like, "Come on, Poe." But the whole him being a spice runner thing, obviously, like we'll figure it out.
I love. Sorry, the dynamic of the three of them is really good, and I forgot.
It is a shame that it took us 3 movies to get to this. But here's the thing: it took 3 movies to get to that dynamic. Really, in the original trilogy, it's like, yeah, we have some time in A New Hope, but if you actually look at the runtime, like, Han doesn't even get introduced until almost like 40 minutes into the movie, right? Oh. And then Leia is like another 15 minutes after that, and then the 3 of them are together for a very short period of time. It's just very, very good, right? On the Death Star. So, and then they escape, and, you know, and then we go into the final battle. Like, they're really not together very much in that first movie. And then in Empire, obviously, they're barely together at all. And then
this whole scene is really good with Poe the whole time, just being like, 3PO, don't tell me what's going on. And like,
where it's like, I don't want to know what made these. And he's like, well, I think it could be. He's like, I just said I don't want to know.
No. Yeah.
Poe and 3PO have a great dynamic. It's like Han and 3PO all over again.
Oh, yeah.
This dagger is the dumbest MacGuffin ever.
Right? Totally.
Here's where you can tell that they didn't know what to do with this story. There are 3 MacGuffins. There's a MacGuffin right at the beginning of the movie that Kylo Ren gets without any plot or explanation. Right, yeah. But it is still technically a MacGuffin because it leads him to Exegol and it moves the story forward. It's an important prop. Yeah. And then there's the dagger. And then the dagger is a MacGuffin that leads to a MacGuffin. Because they get the dagger, and then they immediately lose the dagger, and then they have to get the dagger back. And it's just like, it's just this shell game of MacGuffins. Because then she gets the Wayfinder, and then Kylo immediately destroys the Wayfinder. Yeah, so then she runs off to Ahch-To, and then Luke is like, you have a Wayfinder. It's like, yeah, but she burnt that ship. Well, but the Wayfinder is okay. It's like, it's just, my head hurts so much.
So I just rewatched The Mandalorian. Yeah. With my mom, and that's the first Force Healy thing, right? Was like the
on-screen canon, yes.
Okay, but it's like
in Star Wars,
no. While?
It's been in books and it's been in comics and video games and all sorts of stuff. But this is between The Mandalorian and Rise of Skywalker. This is sort of definitive of like, this is how it works. Oh, you want to come say goodnight? Kara is here and she's saying goodnight. Come up to the microphone. Say goodnight.
While we watch. Good night, Kara.
What do you think of Star Wars? Do you like Rey? Do you like Rey? I'm talking to you. Talking to the microphone.
Or breathe heavily.
Or breathe
Either
heavily.
Way, it's good, Kara.
You're not really sure what to say. Who's your favorite character in Star Wars?
I know that answer for you.
I like Chewbacca.
There you go.
It's consistent since you were like
great.
a year.
Yep.
Okay. You gonna go to sleep now?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Aww.
Can I have a kiss goodnight? Okay. And a kiss goodnight from you, Cass? No? She's like pushing me away.
Oh.
She's confused by your headphones.
Good night, girls.
Okay. Auntie Mandy says goodnight as well. You can't hear her, but she is there. She said goodnight.
Good night, Auntie Mandy.
Okay. See you guys in the morning.
Ooh, the Knights of Ren.
The Knights of Pointlessness.
Really, yes, I really want somebody to just like dress up like all of them though. I just think it'd be really fun.
You can see that. All you have to do, well, I guess you can't see that right now, but when the world is normal, you can see that. All I have to do is walk into a Hot Topic, and you'll find at least 3 people dressed like the Knights of Ren.
Okay.
Are
they all men?
Yeah, they're all dudes. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure they're all dudes. Do you want to know their names? I have the visual dictionary right here. Let me tell you the names of the Knights of Ren so that you can know how edgelord lame they are.
Okay, but I will say that I'm going to just straight up watch her jump over the. There are some just sweet action moments in this movie, and I'm very excited for the like the thing that was the coolest was that like when you saw it in the trailer, you just like were like she's gonna jump over it and slice it, and she does. It's great. Anyways, yes. What are the names of the Knights of Ren?
I have to find them in here.
Ah, okay.
So, cool. Here we go. Vikral, he's the one with the scythe. Okay. Cardo, he's got a cannon on his arm and then a blaster. Cool. Ushar, who has he's got like the cudgel. It's like a, or I guess it's like a mace cudgel. They're all kind of the same thing. And then we've got Trudgeon, he's got like the big butcher knife thing.
Yes, that one that was just on screen.
Yeah. Kuruk, who has a blaster rifle, but his helmet has like the 4 plates kind of on the side of it, like blinders, cool. like a horse. Right. And then Aplek is the guy who has the axe.
Cool.
So that's the Knights of Ren. There are 6 pages about them in the visual dictionary because none of their story is in the films. And they are purely visual characters. Yeah, they're also not important to the plot. They're really not that big of a deal, in my opinion. Honestly, like cooler than the Knights of Ren are the Sith royal Sith guard at the end that Rey fights. That have like the stormtrooper helmets, but then they've got like those cape sort of. Those guys are awesome, but
they're pretty. Yeah. Pretty good. I don't understand why the stormtroopers didn't go inside the ship and then take also Poe and Finn. Like, why did they just grab Chewbacca? Doesn't make any sense.
Why did they grab Chewie and then run? Because the next scene has to happen.
Well, yeah, but so frustrating.
It's not what's important for the brain. It's what's important to move the plot along as fast as possible.
And this is just the things like this. Like what I love about this is that it is really just Kylo and Rey just playing with each other. Like, they both, like, are just, like, they're not going to kill each other in this scene. They know they're not going to kill each other in this scene. But they just, like, are, like, so ridiculous. He's like, I'm going to come at you with a ship and see what you could do.
I think that that's your read on the situation between the two of them. I think that JJ's take was that they are absolutely trying to kill one another throughout this movie.
They aren't trying to kill one another.
Well, Ben maybe less. You can tell how I've transferred, like I've transitioned from anti Kylo Ren to pro Kylo Ren.
So cool.
Because I call him Ben now.
That was just so cool.
It's awesome. How he survives, I don't know, but that's fine.
Well,
whatever.
Yes, I mean he probably shouldn't have survived.
He's got plot armor on. If it didn't explode at the end, it wouldn't be as egregious as I feel like it is.
Yeah. Okay, Finn, maybe you should get your facts checked, and maybe you should know things properly. But it is also so ridiculous. Like,
Finn is the equivalent of that friend who posts things on Facebook and all he read was the headline.
Right.
He didn't actually read the article. They got Chewie in there.
He saw 2 ships.
Yeah.
How did he not know that? Anyways, whatever. He should have.
Because Finn's primary function in this story is to run after Rey and scream things, and then occasionally quip something with Poe.
Is this is this just because she's insanely powerful, or is there like a standard like do you think Yoda could have stopped that ship?
Yeah, of course he could. Size matters not.
Okay, good. I'm just checking. That it's actually like I just think it's like I don't know if I remember people exerting this much like.
Oh my gosh, you need to watch The Empire Strikes Back, and you need to take Yoda's lessons more seriously. Luke is like, or Yoda is like, hey Luke, lift those rocks, lift that droid, stand on your head while you do it. And Luke is like, okay, I can do all of those things. And then he's like, hey, Luke, lift that X-Wing. And Luke is like, I can't do that. This is such a great moment.
But this is way better than an X-Wing.
No. This, Amanda, I'm going to get mad at you.
Okay.
Yoda says lift the X-Wing, and Luke goes, I can't do that. It's so different from lifting the rocks. And Yoda literally says, no, only different in your mind.
Right, okay, fine. I guess.
And this is one of the things that makes Rey as powerful as she is. It's not that, I mean, J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio would have you believe that it's because Palpatine's blood is flowing through her veins, which is dumb. Because that just goes back to midichlorians, and we were trying to get away from that conversation in the last two movies.
Right. Yeah, because it just has to do with like
Rey is powerful because Rey is open, unlike Luke.
Right.
Luke was closed off. Luke, even though he had everything that someone could possibly need, he had family, he was cared for. He wanted adventure and excitement, but that's different from needing things. Right. Rey had nothing, and all she yearned for was family. That's the only thing that she's ever cared about, is just connection.
Right. Yeah.
So when it comes to the Force, and when it's explained to her with the Force, you can use the Force to trick somebody's mind. Mm-hmm. She's like, of course you can. Why couldn't you? And that's why she's immediately able to do it in The Force Awakens, right? It's why she's as powerful as she is throughout all three films, because for her, I love this misdirect of like the ship is flying, but there's nobody in it. And then we see it's being towed by these three TIE fighters. But so that's why Rey is powerful, and that's and because of exactly the conversation that we just had. You couldn't do that because you look at the ship and you go, I can't stop that ship with the Force. It's too big.
Right, but she just goes automatically like, I'm going to stop the ship because Chewie's on it. Yeah,
but unfortunately, her emotions take over in that moment, and they override her focus. And
it's not her emotions. She gets angry at freaking Kylo because he's a stupid face.
Yeah. If he wasn't there, she probably would have just pulled that ship back down.
Oh yeah.
But he shows up, and then she unleashes the lightning unknowingly.
Yeah.
I love this. Poe Dameron, we're not giving up. We're just not giving up. We're not giving up. And then what does he do in the third act after he's been promoted to general? He gives up. He just gives up. Yeah. You guys, this is really hard. I'm just gonna give up. This is good. Again, 3PO stealing this movie.
I know.
It's like, it's true. The dagger only remains in my mind. I was like, what? Why wouldn't you tell us that, 3PO? Yeah. So good.
Because anyways. Is there stuff about him on Kijimi? Like, does that exist?
It's all new.
Oh, okay.
All new. Yeah. I have to eat this cookie while we do this movie because I need to keep my energy up.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I had cake before we started, so I haven't had dinner, so I'm gonna be like really hungry when we're done. So.
Well, that was just poor planning on your part.
I had to play Pokemon Go. Instead.
You had to play Pokemon Go.
I did. Had to. I mean, it's not like I haven't been eating all day. I had nachos at like 3, so I'm good. At least for a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, they think Chewie has died. Right. I just I'm glad that they didn't make us think that Chewie was dead for a long time.
Unnecessary Slave One Empire reference. Yeah, why? Why did they just wait there?
Yeah, why didn't they just I like Dio. I will say. Not
I love the design. I like the little personality that he's got. I don't understand his purpose in this film.
Oh, yeah. No.
Cut him right out. Doesn't change anything.
Yeah. Oh, of course not. And at least, because every other droid at least has a purpose for existing. But Dio is... Well, maybe it shows the idea that droids can be manipulated by people. Because
when you hear J.J. Abrams talk about it, the thematic reason why he's in the movie is because BB-8 sees Rey heal the snake, right?
Right.
And
so Dio.
And she says to BB-8, "It's nothing that you wouldn't have done," right? Because BB-8 says something to her of that was impressive, and she's talking about I just gave some of my life force, and then BB-8 sees Dio and he plugs in and charges Dio back up. doing the same thing that Rey did, because we're supposed to be drawing an analogy between these two characters, like that Rey and BB-8 are connected in this way. Why? It doesn't pay off.
I was gonna say, who cares?
There's
Great, sure, but like, why?
It's planted in this act at the beginning of the second act, and it doesn't do anything for us. It's not like BB-8 goes with her in the final battle and is part of everything. It's like, no, she abandons everybody. It's really funny because there's a correlation between Rey's story and Elsa's story in Frozen 2, in the way that like Rey has these friends who are willing to put their lives on the line in order to help her with this mission, and obviously it's also their mission. But like in the same way, Elsa has all these people who are like, oh yeah, we're gonna help you. We're gonna figure out what's going on, and solve this problem. And she just like takes off at a certain point and like abandons them.
Yeah.
And it's like there's this scene where Olaf is like, I'm really mad at her because she abandoned us. She just took off and she pushed me away too. And I feel like we're missing a scene where BB-8 is a little bit angry with Rey because he's like, I've been with her this whole time. And she leaves here. I love this moment. You're a stormtrooper. You're a scavenger. We can do this all night.
I guess so, but it's not enough of a payoff for it. Like, what is a spice runner? Is it a big deal? I guess for me, like, I don't know what. Like,
Han Solo.
About being
Han Solo was a spice runner. That's what he was doing for Jabba.
Oh.
It's just the implication that Poe is not clean. He's not.
Right.
He's not all good guy, because up until now he's been all good
that
guy.
a little bit. Anyways, but
I don't think that it was necessary for us to have a character that was like Han Solo.
No, I don't need all of that. It's fine. But whatever.
I actually quite liked that Poe was a very pure, very good guy.
Kind of character. Yeah,
because his flaw was that's who he's always been, so he's never questioned it.
Right.
Right? And the way that it should have played out, the Spice Runner thing shouldn't be part of it. What should have happened is when we meet Janna and the other stormtroopers, is that Poe should have had a crisis of morality, right? Of going like, wait, we've been like murdering these First Order troopers under the assumption that they're mindless devotees of the First Order and the dark side. But it turns out that they're actually kidnapped children. I've been murdering kidnapped children. And like that would have been his thing of like, no, like he's a paladin. He's a lawful good character. And now all of a sudden you tell him that he's been murdering innocent people. That would have been the thing of him being like, once he becomes general, him going like, we can't just attack the First Order. We can't just blow them up. We have to go in there with ion cannons. We have to disable their ships until Finn and Janna can figure out how to turn all of these troopers. Because they're innocent people, and everybody else around him should have been like, they're the First Order, they're killing people, they have super weapons that are destroying planets, and he should have been like, yeah, but the second that we become them, we've already lost, right?
Right.
Doesn't that feel better? I don't know. That feels better to me, but I don't get to write these movies.
It is then outside of Star Wars lore, in which throughout all 9 movies, nobody actually cares that the stormtroopers are real. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
shouldn't that have been a thing like over this whole arc that we realized that?
Sure, but the stormtroopers in the original trilogy are, they sign up for it, right?
Okay.
They and like any military force that is doing bad things on a regular basis, at a certain point you have to question your orders, like Han does, right? We see that in Solo. Where Han goes like, wait a second, like, because the guy's like, oh, like we have to do this and push through, and he was like, what exactly is our objective? And he's like, to restore peace and order to the Empire, and he's like, but like we got to eliminate the hostiles, and he's like, it's their planet, we're the hostiles, and that's why he eventually leaves the Empire because he joined trying to get, getting off of Corellia, but ends up like questioning their whole operation because they're immoral, right? Yeah. So that implication is that like at any point, anybody could be like, well, I'm not going to follow orders. And a bunch of other characters in Star Wars are defectors as well. Biggs Darklighter and Wedge Antilles, who are both X-Wing pilots in the original trilogy. Like, Biggs is Luke's friend.
Way.
They're defectors from the Empire. Like, there's a whole scene cut out of the first movie, out of A New Hope, where Biggs comes back to Tatooine for a minute because he's gone off to the Academy. The Academy that Luke keeps referring to is the Imperial Academy. And Biggs comes back and is like, look, Luke, I came back for one reason. I came back to tell you the Empire isn't all it's cracked up to be. We're jumping ship. And I just needed somebody back home to know in case something goes wrong. But I'm joining the Rebel Alliance. So when Luke goes back home to the homestead and he's like, I need to go. Like, I need to join the Academy. Right. What he's actually saying, what's in his head is, and this isn't like a retcon. This is from the original screenplay. Like, what his subtext is, I have to catch up to Biggs. He's my best friend. Right. He's the only person in this galaxy who cares about me, and he's out there fighting the Empire, and I have to go with him. I have to protect my friend, right? And so, like, that's why he's so pissed off about, like, yeah, that's what you said last season, right? Right.
Yeah. Hey, so this is annoying. This little, like, disc thingy, like, why she gives him that, like, disc. I guess she just, like, talks about it here, but, like, that's, like, the least.
Because we need of all of the things that need to be explained in this movie, we need an explanation for how they get onto the First Order cruiser, the capital ship, without being detected. Which, to me, it's like, there's a really simple way for them to get on that ship. They should have just flown up to it and then gotten sucked in with the tractor beam on purpose, like with a plan. And they could have done like a Han Solo Millennium Falcon type thing of like hiding and then breaking on, and that would have been a cool reference. But instead we get another MacGuffin of like, here's this thing. It's not really important, but we're gonna just write it in so that we have an excuse.
So this is the one thing I will say. Ochi's ship is a ship that was flying away from her. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's the same ship from The Force Awakens.
Yeah. Ugh, it's just like the least interesting choice that they could have made with her character. Just makes me so frustrating.
It's taking the challenge that Rian Johnson presented and saying, we're gonna just pretend that that's not real.
Right.
We're just gonna ignore that challenge, and we're just gonna go back to. There's a moment in the in the documentary about Rise of Skywalker, where JJ says, you know, like they're getting ready to shoot the final stuff with Rey, and Palpatine and whatever, and he's like, you know, if you had asked me when we were making the first one if this is where I saw Rey going, yeah, absolutely. Really? And he basically, I'm like paraphrasing because it's been a while since I've seen it, right. But he's basically like, this is exactly how I saw this ending. And it's like two things. First off, I don't think that you had all of this planned out. Don't pretend like you had all of this planned out. Don't try and change the narrative in the last film and go like, no, this was all the plan. Second, if it was the plan and this is how it ends, then you ignored the entire second film where somebody else went in a different direction. And that's just you admitting that you just said, well, yeah, whatever Ryan did, I don't really care. Like, this is what I had in my head. So this is the way that this story ends, is with Palpatine and Rey. And it's like, well, there's no hints in the first movie that Palpatine has anything to do with anything. Yeah. Super frustrating.
It's not an interesting anyways, whatever, it's fine. You just could have done more Force Skype coming up. I do enjoy this.
Yeah.
The little like
they keep just missing each other, right?
I know. I just love that she's in his room and he's down on the. I just really like that he just gets so frustrated where he's like, oh my god, I've been looking all over this planet for you and you're in my room. Like, it's just like it's kind of a cute thing. I like
3PO has lost his mind, literally.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
But also, I do like that you get it. Just you like know that he's gonna get his memory back at the end because they say that R2 does a backup.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like this fun thing where you're not actually sad that 3PO is gone. It's just sort of like a fun little thing. And
that's some character growth for Finn. I do like that because it's like every time he was asked about First Order stuff in the last two movies, he's like, I think I know this. And in this one, he's like, I don't know. Let's go.
Yeah, but he's like, follow me. So he does still have that like I'll lead the charge, which is kind of nice that there is like a heroic bent to Finn, because I don't find him particularly like enjoyable as a character. But this is great.
Yeah.
Again, Finn and Poe. Who are these?
I don't know who the cameos are yet. I haven't heard from like any of the breakdowns or anything like that. It is a shame that this is the last movie with these characters. Like it kind of breaks my heart because I would love to see more stories with these three. And I know that that's how people felt about the original trilogy as well. And with the prequels, we got it because we got the Clone Wars, and it's actually better than the movies. But I really hope that we do get something at some point. I did in my conversation on Thunderquack Quarantine Zone on Friday night with Matt Campbell. We were talking about the potential that Lucasfilm would pivot because the live action stuff is obviously going to get delayed as a result of the COVID-19 and whatnot. And the positive could be that with everybody kind of doubling down on animation, if Lucasfilm decides let's do some more stuff, they could get these three actors, I think, to come in and do some voice work, because Oscar Isaac recorded dialogue for Poe in Star Wars Resistance, so he's already done it. And I honestly think out of the three of them, he's the hardest get.
Yeah.
But they all love the characters that they play. And, like, John Boyega would do it in a heartbeat, and I think that Daisy Ridley would do it as well. So I think there's a potential that they could bring these characters back in an animated form sooner rather than later. But it all depends on how adaptive they're being.
In a row. I like that.
Sorry?
They're specifically called out as female stormtroopers. Again, just watching this subtitle.
With the subtitles,
I just like they specifically called out two different stormtroopers in that like last little battle thing. Anyways, is this like one of the only times that? Well, no. I mean, I guess people always get hit a little bit, but I like that there's actually like some. My mom's like biggest like pet peeve with these movies is she's like, why does nobody ever get hit?
He gets shot in the exact same place that Leia gets shot in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
In the same spot on the arm. It's exactly the same. It's I don't know if it's intentional, but I choose to believe that it's because George Lucas always did a thing where he's like these movies rhyme, these stories rhyme, right? It's like poetry. Right. There are these moments that reflect back on one another, and and I choose to believe that whether it's intentional or not is a reflection of. It's our foreshadowing of Leia's going to die in this movie. We kind of already know that, but that Poe is going to take her place, right? By getting shot in the exact same place by a stormtrooper in the third movie. Like we're supposed to think that he's Han Solo, but he's actually Leia, right?
Right. Oh, I like that. That. Because Rey is if anybody is Han Solo, it's Rey. A little bit more.
Well, this is the best thing about these three characters, and it's the same thing as the prequel trilogy characters. They're not anybody. They're all actually very unique, but their archetypes overlap, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Rey is very much Luke Skywalker, and she's very much Anakin Skywalker as well. But so is Kylo Ren. So is Ben Solo. He's very much his uncle and his grandfather. But he's also there's a lot of Leia in him. There's a lot of Leia in Rey. There's a lot of Han in both of them. And it's like that's one of the great dynamics is that these two characters are actually they've been influenced by the same three mentors, and yet they've gone down these different paths. And then we're supposed to now integrate Palpatine via Snoke into Ben's story, and we're seeing the influence of Palpatine on Rey and how she's going to react to that. Will she fall to the dark side? Will she be tempted in the same way that Ben was? Right. But we know she's not.
This fight that goes between the two places. This is like one of the more fully integrated, I think, fights between the two of them, where you like go between the spaces.
This battle is better than the Death Star battle between the two of them, in my opinion, because they shot this fight 3 times. They shot it on the Star Destroyer. They shot it on the Kijimi set, and then this shot right here is actually a set that they built separate from those two that blends them.
No way.
Yeah.
Cool. It's pretty cool. Like, it's a pretty cool fight. I do quite enjoy it. But like, if they knew she was on Jakku, why did they not find Rey? That's the part I don't understand. Anyways, this is just such a cool thing that they established the lore early, that the
necklace, and that it's escalating,
the necklace,
right?
And this, it just like escalates.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like cool that they can force fight. Like, that's the coolest thing about this. That they're fighting across the void.
The dyad is this powerful that it connects them, that it actually physically connects them across the galaxy. They're quantum entangled, right? Like, that's the they're actually not 2 separate beings. They're one person. It is a very interesting concept, and I hope that we get to explore more of the dyad and other Star Wars stuff in the future, so that we can have not some answers, but just get into it, just dig, right? Yeah. I'm really curious. Is anybody watching live right now? It doesn't make a difference. We would be recording the exact same podcast, but we are broadcasting live, so I'm just curious if anybody is actually listening live still.
I'm sorry, I'm not monitoring that stuff, but
I do. I mean, I do have a tweet from Rachel Joy 23 on Twitter, who said right when we were starting the movie, following along, found your podcast through the last 2 seasons of Quiver. When I finally caught up on Oliveira, have been listening to the stuff you've done ever since.
Nice.
Also, I have one of your Quiver podcast shirts. Well, thank you,
Woo-hoo.
Rachel, for buying a Quiver shirt. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
That makes me happy. But yeah, so Rachel, you may be the only one listening live. If anybody is listening on the Spreaker website or in the app, comment. Leave a comment.
You can let us know, like, what like, if you, I don't know, we keep saying random things, and it's like, well, do you feel, what did I miss? I was looking at Twitter, and now I'm like, oh yeah.
He's gone back to the ship. They've got Chewie.
Right, the ship went away.
They're trying to get out. They got the Falcon again.
Oh, they got the Falcon. Right. So, because they don't care about Oshi's ship. How come, but 3PO went there as well?
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, cool. Ugh. Just, doesn't
this is
matter.
This is the worst. You don't just have power, you have his power, which just robs your heroine of her journey.
Yeah.
It's now dead. Right?
Yeah.
The heroine's journey is now dead as a result of this, because now this story hasn't been about Rey. This story has actually been about Palpatine the entire time.
Yeah,
this retcons the first 2 movies and tells us that everything that happened as a way of motivating Sheev Palpatine's story. So they literally take the power away from Star Wars' biggest female protagonist and give it to a wrinkly old white dude.
Ugh.
Which is for me, it's kind of unforgivable. I'm past it. It's the story. It's where it is. I'm not angry about it anymore, but it's definitely just not good.
Yeah. Like, it just, I don't know. Everything about this is just like makes me feel icky, and it's like this. Yeah. It just seems like they didn't think it through. Like,
they didn't, and that's the key to it. They didn't think it through.
Let him make the movie, and nobody like questioned it because he was. And this is you know what actually hurts the most is that I quite enjoy J.J. Abrams. Like I quite revere him as a.
I
filmmaker.
love
I
it.
think
He's a
done lot of really
fantastic
great
filmmaker.
things.
Yeah.
And so the problem is he got to a point where they just like nobody questioned him. They just let him do what he was going to do with this movie.
They were on a timeline and they didn't have time.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
had the time to question him. I don't think that it was negligence. I think that it was just everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that you know this. You work on productions. This is your job. When your head is in it,
Yeah.
you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
You're
I
just
loved this.
yeah.
That he just shoots Hux. It's like obviously.
So unceremonious. I love it.
I love it. Anyway.
Yeah, like you're just focused on the next deliverable, right?
Right.
We just got to get to the next. We got to get to the next shot. We got to get to the next scene. We have to finish the edit. We have to lock the picture, right? We got to get the soundtrack in. Like you're always focused in production on what the next thing is, and it's only the absolute best filmmakers in the right circumstances who are able to balance everything.
Right.
So I honestly don't blame J.J. Abrams. I mean, at the end of the day, the buck does stop with him. But
Right.
for me, the reason why this movie is the movie that it is Chris Terrio. And I say that because there's another movie that had the potential to be phenomenal and instead all hinged on one singular concept and everything in the story was just driving us to that moment, and that's Batman v Superman.
Oh.
That whole movie, the entire thing is a contrivance to get us to that rooftop, or I guess it's not the rooftop at that point, but to get us
that
to the
stupid
moment
Martha
with
thing.
Martha.
Oh. Ugh. Yeah. That was the worst. Hey, can you hear my parents watching television upstairs?
No, I can't.
I'm sorry if people.
I
Okay,
can't.
good. I'm like, wait, what's going on? I can hear something else. So I apologize if you can hear random television happening in the background, but yes, I didn't realize it. That's the same. That's like a similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
And they're
is he
both
like a right?
both stories are misinterpretations of what the franchise means to the audience.
Right.
Because someone at some point thought the most important thing that links Superman and Batman is their moms. And I understand it's like that's being reductive, like I'm being flippant, but it's about their humanity, right? Like that's supposed to be the moment that Batman realizes you're not an alien. I'm no better than Lex Luthor. You're just as human as I am, right? But yeah, it is definitely like, yeah.
Is it weird that I now want to watch Batman v Superman? Because I like, now that we're talking about it, I'm like, hey, this is such a weird, why would they create a dagger for this? It's just such a weird, like, why? Also, just go to obviously it's in Palpatine's, like, chamber.
Yeah.
Like, that just makes
I don't
sense.
understand why they
just
can't just...
It's in Palpatine's chamber.
Here's an
Of course
idea.
it's in
Instead of it being a MacGuffin that they have to find and then use, why not imply that Rey is becoming a very powerful Jedi and have her figure it out using the Force?
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool.
Like,
I love this. This Babu Frick line is the best.
yeah, he's one of my oldest friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I just think it's kind of funny. There's some small things, so. I like her. This is Jana, right?
Yeah, Jana's a great character. This is the key to the love-hate relationship that I have with this movie is that I love these characters so much.
Right.
And that's the reason why so many of the decisions are upsetting for me. It's because of how much I love these characters. Yeah. I want them to be done justice. I want them to get their due. And instead we get so close and then in so many instances we just miss it.
This takes place in a day. I guess that's pretty Star Wars-ish. I guess all the movies kind of take place in a day.
It takes place in 8 hours.
Right. 16. I thought it was 16.
They have 8 hours from the beginning. I thought that's what they said. Isn't that the clock that they put on it? Is that like he's going to launch his attack?
I thought it was 16.
Is it 16? Maybe it is.
I'm pretty sure it's 16.
Okay. then
the 8 just doesn't seem like enough time. It's 16 hours.
It's the last.
It was like less than a full day, but like a little bit more than like a half day. So
the Last Jedi puts a clock on it, but the Last Jedi has a reason.
Very literal. Yeah.
And then is actually very contained, right?
Right. Yeah.
Especially if you don't think of the scenes with Rey and Kylo Ren as necessarily being chronological. Like a lot of the stuff with Rey getting there and meeting Luke happens sort of while the evacuation is happening and that sort of thing.
Right.
Which like there's a lot of films where it's like chronologically, if you look at it, it's like obviously these things are happening sort of out of sync, but narratively we're going to tell them in this order.
Yeah.
But with this movie, it's like they put a clock on it, and the clock is unnecessary because it never really pushes the story forward. It's never really a sense of urgency. Because the characters don't treat it as a sense of urgency. The only time it comes up is in this scene where Rey just goes without them because she's like, we can't wait.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, granted, she is the only one. Like, I feel like she can do this because she can control the stuff a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well, she's a Jedi.
But it also, this is also a little bit. It's just, I always find this so funny that with spaceships, you're still limited by also having to like get across water.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you can't just like use all the technology for everything else.
Well, they broke the
scary.
Falcon, right? So.
Yeah. But also, why does it need a landing gear? Why don't you just like stop it and then fall down? Like, I feel like that would be less than like skimming it all the way around the end.
I think they broke more than the landing gear on the Falcon. They were he had like panels in the cockpit open fixing them.
That's fair. Ugh, I just don't know why Finn is so frustrating in this movie. We gotta go after her. We're gonna be so hopeful.
I also like it pisses me off that like if their dynamic had been different, it would have been better if Finn would have been like, we got to go after her. And for Poe to be like, you're always running after her. Have you ever stopped to realize she can handle herself?
Right. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And for them to have a moment where it's like, I didn't really think you even liked her. Or for Finn to say something like, well, yeah, you say that because you don't even like her. And for him to be like, what are you talking about? She's like, I like her just as much as you do, right? Like she's an amazing person. She's incredible. I don't understand why you can't see that she is who she is. Like stop running after her to try and rescue her. She's gonna save all of us. Right? To me, that would have been a much better scene between the two of them here, where it's like, and it also would have given Rey back some of her power that they just stole from her by saying like, no, Rey is fully capable of handling herself. If anybody can get on the Death Star, climb through an old wrecked ship and recover the most valuable piece of technology from inside of it, it's the Scavenger. Just let her do her thing.
I do think that there was probably something in JJ's brain when he was making this character that he was like, the beginning and the end. She's going to be a scavenger on these ships, and then in the end, she's going to climb the Death Star. Like that, I could see because this is kind of a cool, like,
I'll tell you what this is, and this is very easy to see if you've got the art books.
Okay.
This concept of the Death Star underwater and Rey climbing through it was supposed to be in the first movie.
Oh.
But they changed Jakku from a water planet to a desert planet, and they removed the Death Star element and they made it a Star Destroyer. There's tons of concept art of these scenes, essentially.
So he just wanted to reuse the storyboard panel.
He just literally, they literally just went, that idea was good, let's put it in this movie. Yeah. And granted, it is a great idea. I love the visual of it. I just wish this was all underwater like the original concept had it. As
and
opposed
then she
to
was like wearing like a breather or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, they couldn't necessarily like talk to each other so much in this, and I do like the like. I don't know. It's just, and it opens because she's like powerful and force sensitive, right? It's not just like it would have opened for anybody.
No,
like,
it opens because she's Palpatine.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
It thinks that she's Palpatine, so it opens for her.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this scene. I feel like they kind of just did it to put it in the trailer.
They did. Yep. It's unnecessary. I don't understand what it accomplishes.
It's supposed to show us that she's conflicted and dealing with the dark side, but
she's not though.
But she's not, and also we already got that when she literally said the words to Finn of like, that power came from me. That was the dark side. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, she's not conflicted. She doesn't like the dark side that's in her.
Yeah.
She just needs to learn to accept that it's in everybody. Right?
Yeah. I do like the Evil Ray lightsaber, though. It's pretty cool.
You do? I don't. I hate the hinge that it has. It doesn't look like it's Star Wars. It just looks like something they found at Home Depot.
I mean, I just like that both Rey and Kylo on the dark side are so extra, like that they just can't have regular lightsabers, that they'd have to like build these crazy lightsabers. That was such a weird shot, by the way, him picking that up. Like to get that to work, he had to be so contorted off screen to like make that shot like work where he holds it up. But anyways, this is so frustrating that he just like breaks it. And you're like, what was the purpose? What is the point of the last few hours?
How much cooler would that shot have been if it had tumbled out and been tumbling and looked like it was going to go down the shaft? And then it just stopped suddenly and then just rose into his hand. That would have been better.
So much better.
Would have been so much better.
So much better.
This is all the benefit of hindsight. I don't fault JJ for that. Like they were just like, and then he picks it up.
Yeah.
But now, like I've seen this movie like 6 times, so it's like that would have been cool. It's easy to punch things up. It's a lot harder to come up with things whole cloth.
This scene is so fun because that give it to me is just her being so like he like a petulant child. Like I just love this. Like this whole scene is them just being like, I don't know. But
her attitude here has completely undone her progress from The Last Jedi, where she looks at him and like after the fight, after they both get up after the Holdo maneuver, and she looks at him, she goes, "Ben, don't do this." Right?
Yeah,
because she's resolved. She knows who she is.
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't need to, like, it's like, if you go down that path, I can't follow you. But instead, like in this movie, she's vengeful the whole time, and it contradicts that other one, that other story, that other element. But here we go. There's a very big question that I'm going to ask you coming up, and I'm very interested to hear how you're going to feel about it. So somehow they got there because there was another skimmer, but they couldn't.
Cool.
Before they said they couldn't go because it was too dangerous, but then they went anyways.
Right? And it's like, okay, fine.
Why would you contradict yourself in your own script?
I know. Yeah.
And he happens to go to just the right part of the ship, the
right to
Death
see
Star.
them like on the outside of it. Yeah. It's like whatever. But whatever. It's like, why? Because the fight didn't happen if they didn't have like observers on it. Like it's ridiculous.
It's so pointless. It's so pointless having Finn there.
It didn't need to. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyways, it just except to prove nothing except for the fact that he doesn't need to be there. Like it's just like reinforces that he doesn't need to be there. Anyways, whatever. It's fine.
So yeah,
you don't think it's fine?
It's fine. I just don't think that it's like the best fight in the saga, like some people want to say that it is. It's like it to me, it doesn't hold a candle to the fight between Luke and Vader on the Death Star, on the second Death Star. The much better fight, both in choreography and in context.
I just love their sensitivity to the water. Like that's just like a cool element that they didn't have.
It's neat. It's definitely, it's unique. It definitely has some cool elements like that. This shot right now is fantastic of him walking through it. Because she like leaps over it and he just walks through it because he's Kylo Ren and he doesn't care. Yeah. Like he is a force of nature, so he doesn't care about the force of nature. Yeah. And this is great when they stop the lightsabers with the force. Which so cool. Is a bit of an homage to the Battle of the Heroes in Revenge of the Sith between Obi-Wan and Anakin when they both force push at each other, and just it's like just a stalemate, right? And that's what we're supposed to see here, is that it's a stalemate, except
Right.
you actually start to see that because Rey isn't focused, she's unbalanced like he was on Starkiller. The other thing is she gave a little bit of her life force away to that snake, to the serpent. And it's not been that long since that happened.
Yeah.
So she when she kind of pulls her hand away and kind of shakes it, I take that as like when she shook her hand after healing it, she's like, it hurt.
She could feel it,
And she's still kind of feeling that.
Yeah.
But if not for this moment, and here's the question, does Leia do this knowing that Rey is going to kill Kylo Ren and then heal him and resurrect Ben Solo?
Oh, and then resurrect Ben. Oh. Well, I mean, so this is the thing that, like, this is what the movie was supposed to be, was something that, like, I don't know. I want to know what originally it was thought. But, like, it's super significant that he dies by his own blade, basically, right? Like, that she uses, right? I don't know. Yes.
And do you think
to both of them? Because she's speaking to both of them.
Do you think that Rey just actually delivered the killing blow to Leia, who was embodying Ben in that moment to bring him back? Like, I think, like, because I think yes, I don't think that it's a mistake. I don't think that Rey accidentally does this. I think that this is how Leia wanted it to happen.
Like, yeah.
In the metaphysics of the Force, that Leia projects herself into Ben's mind in order to basically grab onto Kylo Ren, stop him there, like when he feels her presence, as he did in The Last Jedi, when he didn't shoot, right? When he didn't destroy the bridge. And then basically, like, when she dies, because of that connection, she pulls some of Kylo Ren away, and then Rey here, when she heals him, because you see, like, the scar also heals on his face, right?
Oh no, I never saw that before.
So she's actually
she actually, like, is like, interesting.
She's actually restoring. She's not healing Kylo Ren. She's healing Ben Solo, who has always been there under the surface.
And she says this here, I did want to take your hand, because she says your hand, Ben's hand. So she knows that he's there. So she knows that this is Ben.
And she leaves the lightsaber, right? And that's one of the things where it's like she leaves the lightsaber, but she does in this moment, like, she is convinced she has to do this alone.
Right. Oh, how did I not notice that the scar left? Like, honestly, I had no idea.
So to me, like, that look that she has there is her going, like, I believe that Rey is thinking, I have to do this alone because what I'm going to do is not the Jedi path. I'm not going there as a Jedi. I'm going there for revenge. And it's not until she's confronted with Palpatine and she sees what he is that she starts to realize. And then when he's like, oh, you're here as a Jedi, and she's like, yeah, actually I am. And she kind of changes her.
But when she leaves, though, she's not going to see Palpatine. She's going to run away.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're right.
So she's going. So that's the thing, is, like, that moment was her just running away.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of her denial.
I don't get why she just went to wherever the
Octo.
This
to Luke.
moment. Yeah. This Chewie crying. This was the only moment that I cried in the whole movie. Was, like, the Chewie. Is
heavy
crying about
when he pushes Poe away. Yeah, it's like.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's like it's making me sad again, even if I'm not
because that's everybody, right? And Han, it's kind of going back to what Han says to Leia to Chewie in Empire in regards to Leia, of like, no, it's too late for me. You have to protect her. You have to keep her safe. And in Chewie's mind, he's like, I couldn't do anything about Ben. I couldn't do anything about Han. And now I couldn't do anything about Leia. They're all gone, and I can't do anything. I can't protect any of these people.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aw. How am I still crying? It's stupid. I'm not even, like, half paying attention. Anyways, it's good. But, like, this is just, like, it's so funny that poor, what's this actor's name? Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, one of the most famous actors in the entire history of film. Yeah, sure.
But I do kind of think it's funny because Harrison Ford just, like, could, like he doesn't really care about these movies, but like you know that he's doing this just for Carrie Fisher, which I just think is kind of cool.
I do think that he comes back in this one specifically for like that Harrison Ford made that choice, but I don't think it's fair to say that he doesn't care about these movies. He does care about these movies. When he said that he shouldn't have been in Return of the Jedi, it was because he didn't think that there was anything left for his character to do. He thought that his character had served its purpose and that his ultimate the end game of his story should have been the sacrifice to save the people that he loved. Right, in Empire. So he just didn't understand the need for the character to come back. But he talked about it a lot, actually, when The Force Awakens was coming out, where he was like, but I was wrong, because here I am, and there was more story to tell with these characters. I just didn't see it at the time.
Right. That's fair.
So, yeah. I mean, this scene's great. This is... Everything with Ben from this point forward is... This is so good because it's the I love you, I know.
I know, and it took me till the second watch for me to understand that. There's just so many things I didn't get.
It's
How
so
did
good.
I not notice that his scar is missing? God, I'm so dense all the time. Sometimes you would think that I would.
I feel like they really should have let his scar be more prominent in this film so that was more clear when it happened.
More obvious, maybe that was a thing. But also, he didn't. I do like that he calls her the Princess of Alderaan.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like old. Well, anyways, I don't know. Whatever. Hey, so question.
Yeah.
Because I think I know the answer. Like this General Pride, has he been around for a while?
Nope, he's a new character.
Oh, but he says, "As I served you in the old wars."
Yep.
Then, okay, it's just retconning a whole bunch of.
It was a big army.
All right.
It was a very, very big army. We've learned about new generals and admirals
all the time,
all the time.
All that jazz. So fine, that's fair.
But it's not retconning anything because we know that the First Order grew out of the Imperial Remnant, right? That there was a significant chunk of the Empire that fled into the unknown regions, and that's where the First Order came from.
Right. That's fair.
The retcon is that Palpatine had anything to do with it.
Yeah, fair. Why do they choose to destroy Kijimi of all the planets?
Because they were just there and they have friends there.
Oh, okay.
We're supposed to think that Zuri is dead, right?
Okay, cool.
And Babu
because she
Frick,
matters so much to us.
Yeah.
So. Yes. Anyways. Oh, I guess. Oh, it's to show that the ships have planet-killing weapons. Gotcha. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But this is. I do like this piece of writing because this is very in keeping with Palpatine. Well, the one character they don't screw up in this is Palpatine. They write him to a T.
I mean, yeah.
But this move is a very overconfident, very arrogant move on Palpatine's part, where he's like, "Oh no, the Final Order is gonna destroy the galaxy. Like any systems that don't fall in line are gonna end up obliterated." So he's basically like gives them the like not advance, but like so like he plays his hand like he tips his hand too early. Because if he had done nothing, the resistance would go there and they would have had no backup. But because they blow up Kijimi, that's the thing that tips the scale in this battle. Because the first time, like with Starkiller Base, it was like, we can't get involved because if we do, they'll do this to us. And then the galaxy doesn't answer the call in The Last Jedi, right? They all stay neutral. They all stay out of it. Palpatine destroys one of their planets anyways.
Right.
And that's the moment for the galaxy, for all of the people in the galaxy to go, they're evil. They're going to do this no matter what. So we either stand and fight or we die.
Right.
And better to die on the battlefield than destroyed by a planet killer, right? Like, let's save the galaxy. So it's actually like that's his biggest mistake, and it's the same as it was last time. His arrogance, his overconfidence, just like Luke says to him. So,
right. I did just realize that that's how Dio is important because he. But it actually doesn't really.
it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't do anything to the plot. Yeah,
Because in a minute, when she leaves, she starts sending them the message.
Right.
Of like, she's going to Exegol. And they don't know where she's gone. They don't know that she's gone to to Octo at this point.
Right.
So when they start getting the signal, they wouldn't have known that she took this detour. They would have just been like, "Oh, she was going to Exegol the whole time."
Yeah.
They could have arrived at that on their own. I don't think that anybody would have been like, "Wait, that makes no sense." If Finn would have been like, if Poe would have been like, "What was she thinking, taking off like that?" And for Finn to be like, "She's going to Exegol. She's going to try and end this by herself." Right?
Hey, question: Is Ben Solo a Force ghost? Like, does he turn into a Force ghost? Do we think?
We haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, there aren't any stories that take place after the Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
Yet.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Anyways, I do like that it just allows them to be like, just that's cool that he can touch the lightsaber. You could technically have a lightsaber battle with a Force ghost.
You could.
Is what that establishes.
You could.
And he could just continue to train her. Anyways, so I do. It's the thing that is kind of sad, but that I do like that they do is that they do explain some of the things that Leia would have talked to her about, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that they have like other people like saying it. And anyways,
Yeah.
I don't know. And that like we haven't gotten to it yet, right? Where like with Leia and her saber or whatever.
No, we're about to.
Do we find Leia's? Yeah.
We're
Because
about
that's I liked that. It was cool. Anyways,
I do like all of this, but
I don't know. It's all right. Why is she wearing her hood? I don't get like
because she's
it's not a very practical. It's not a very practical hood.
It's
like,
windy. It's a little bit windy.
Okay, sure. All right. But she's still wearing it inside. Anyways, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's the least of my worries for this stuff.
I have heard rumors that it's actually digital. It's not even. She's not actually wearing it. That it's CG.
So painful.
It was added
painful.
after the
Why
fact.
would they have done that? Why? What a good use of resources. But yeah, it does. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like it would sit properly.
I don't know.
So
I just have to call out. I love Leia's lightsaber. I love the design of it.
It's pretty cool.
It blends elements of Anakin / Vader's with Obi-Wan's / Luke's, because Obi-Wan and Luke's green lightsaber are very similar. But then it has its own unique elements, like the pearlescent inlay to it. It's got like a
cool.
like a mother of pearl or whatever inlay to it, which is very unique. We've never seen that on a lightsaber before. We've seen, like, not in the movies, but in like the Clone Wars and some of the comics and stuff, we've seen like wood being integrated into a lightsaber, but we've never seen like a sort of like a gemstone or a precious metal or something. Well, I guess a precious metal because like golds and silvers, but
right. That's fair. I am now trying to see if this hood is CG. Like it's like no, I'm like so distracted.
I don't know if that's true or not, but like I've seen people tweet about like, oh, the digital hood looks awful, but that might just be that the hood looks awful. So let's pretend it's digital. Okay. There are a lot of people out there who want to hate on this movie because they hate on this movie, like it's their identity. There's stuff in it that frustrates me, but like this moment again, like this is
love
great.
This movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. I guess, are there people that like this movie better than The Last Jedi?
What you will find is that people who really didn't like The Last Jedi tend to love this movie because a lot of this movie backtracks and undoes a lot of the stuff that they don't like about The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's fair. So he lifts the plane while he's dead. Cool.
Yeah.
Force Ghost. Powerful Force Ghost. It's good. R2-D2. Oh, right, this scene. Oh, I love it. I just love how much they can get out of this like droid that doesn't speak. That you can like get his attitude. Like I just think R2 has one of the best. Like he's like so sassy, and he doesn't even like speak. And it's just that was a great cut.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
It's also, I like the implication that like this is not the first time R2 has had to deal with this with 3PO.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, 3PO gets his mind wiped after Revenge of the Sith, right? Which is why he doesn't remember any of Anakin or Obi-Wan or anything like that in the original trilogy. But R2 obviously still has all of his memory. Yeah. He just keeps a lid on it.
Because he doesn't really care so much, I guess. I just love that R2 is one of the only ones that like understands everything through all the movies. So
it's true.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Oh, sorry. Now I'm just watching the movie because
I don't really have anything to say about any of this because we've kind of already talked about all of it. It's just
now we're getting to the actual
this is
part.
just us getting to the third act.
It is cool to see Rey in Luke's X-wing with his helmet on.
Yeah,
like that is kind of cool. Like that's a cool cosplay in and of itself. Is like Rey with Luke's helmet. So.
Well, and it's the fulfillment of a promise from the first movie where she's sitting and she puts the helmet on and
yeah, which is cool.
Right before she meets
poor
BB-8.
Chewie, he's so sad. He doesn't want to go. No, good job, Chewie. You can do it. Hey, was Chewie in the prequels?
Chewie is in Revenge of the Sith for some reason.
Right.
He's on Kashyyyk in the Battle of Kashyyyk, and he's in the scenes with Yoda.
Yeah,
he helps Yoda escape the Battle of Kashyyyk and Order 66.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really dumb. It's totally pointless. It's very stupid. He's also in an episode of the Clone Wars and has a story with Ahsoka.
Right. That's fair. Is the implication that Dominique's character was on the Holdo ship, or no?
No.
She's just famous. That it's like okay.
Yeah, everybody just knows about that because she took out the Supremacy, which is like one of the largest starships ever.
Right.
Like the largest capital ships ever.
Cool. All right. So it's Lando and Chewie.
Sorry, but I just have to point out that's yet another scene where Poe Dameron takes something that a woman said to him and kind of just paraphrases it a little tiny bit and says it to inspire everybody. Because he does the same thing in The Last Jedi where like Holdo says the thing about we are the spark that will restore the Republic, and then he says we are the spark that'll burn the First Order to the ground, and then there he repeats what Zuri said to him. Sorry.
Maybe that is Poe Dameron is just like channeling women into like a male voice. Like
I absolutely feel that the character of Poe Dameron is a very macho guy making up for the fact that he is actually a very feminine person. Like underneath it, he's actually very like caring and but he's got like machismo on top of it to kind of protect himself, and that's what Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Carry on. No. You can.
Oh, I was just gonna say like that's what Leia sees in him. Right?
Oh, right.
That's why Leia is grooming him, because she's like, if I can just dust off all of the Han Solo nonsense, underneath it, you are actually a very good leader. And that's the whole point of The Last Jedi. So when it drives me nuts in this movie when he goes up to Finn and he's like, I also want you to be the general. It's like, no, own it. She wanted you to be this person. Own it. Don't backtrack on it. Why does everything in this movie have to be a half measure? Everything is split and given to somebody else. Like no individual character has any moment. Everybody does everything like half me, half you. And
it's so funny that in a different context could be a good thing, right? Where it's like, there's no one person. It's all like half and half and everybody shares it. But the thing that makes me the saddest about this finale, aside from the stuff that you're talking about with Poe not getting actually to fly, which, fair, is that Rey and Ben don't actually really get to fight the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like they just sort of like, it just would have been fun if they had at least stood a sort of chance, like to be able to just like,
if they had actually fought him for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, like they just didn't, and that's the part that bothers me so much, is that it was just like too easy for him to just like be like, oh, I'm just gonna like take your powers instead. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's all good.
They could have done something really cool with a fight between two Jedi with lightsabers and Palpatine with just lightning, with no lightsabers, right? And kind of made up for his lame lightsaber fight in Revenge of the Sith. Because, like, it would have been really cool to see him kind of, like, wielding his lightning, kind of, like, maybe like a whip or something like that. Like, kind of just, like, just kind of, like, cool. like a little bit like a Dumbledore Voldemort sort of thing, as they're, like, trying to defend themselves and get close enough to hit him with their lightsabers. It would have been really cool to see, like, oh, he's become so powerful that he's, like, doing all this crazy stuff, and they're really, like, just trying to survive at this point. But instead he just pushes one down and then pushes the other one down, I guess. He just pushes them.
Yep. Cool. I do like that the First Order actually is like smart in this. Like, the Pride is like quite smart.
Yeah.
I kind of do. This is the first episode of like the series where I'm kind of like, I think that they understand what's going on and they actually like do a decent job of like fighting back.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just makes it like a little bit more like realistic, which is cool. And then, you know, but then Finn. Oh, because Finn like knows the ships pretty well, hey?
No, he uses the Force.
The stupid Force.
He's a Jedi.
Never mind. I'm sorry, he's not a Jedi.
Amanda, it was a huge mistake in the first two movies to not make the Jedi a man. Don't you know that? It was really important before the saga finished that we understand that men can use the Force. It's not just women, Amanda. Stop being sexist.
Sure. I know. Sorry.
Super important. It's so pointless. It's so pointless. That said, I want stories where Finn and Rey are building the new Jedi Order, but
yeah, but Finn's not a Jedi.
Well, he has access to he's Force sensitive. He can become a Jedi.
Really?
Yes. That's the whole point of this.
All you need is Force sensitivity? I don't know. I feel like you can't just like...
What else would you need?
I don't know.
Have you been paying attention to these movies? You say that you're a Star Wars fan, and now it's starting to sound like you don't understand how being a Jedi works.
Well...
That's the only prerequisite, Amanda.
No, midichlorians.
And the midichlorians are the biological indicator of access to the Force.
Yeah, okay, fair. Ugh.
And also, there are midichlorians in all living things. That's said in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
It's in everything. The midichlorians are in everything. Anakin just has a ridiculously high concentration because Palpatine and Plagueis used midichlorians to conceive him. They essentially used midichlorians as nano technology to impregnate Shmi Skywalker. So he's half human, half midichlorian. That's why he's as powerful as he is.
When you say it, it sounds so stupid.
Yeah, it is dumb, and that's why we don't talk about midichlorians anymore, but that's the justification.
Okay, cool.
Again, when we have to justify why a character has access to the Force and that their power level, as if their power level is a static thing,
right,
is like why it is what it is. It's like, this isn't Dragon Ball Z. It's like we don't have little scanners to tell us like, oh, they're over 9,000. Like, no, that's not how it works. Oh man, who was talking about it? Oh, Luke Skywalker was talking about it. It's from a comic book. Charles Soule wrote it. I'm like, who was saying this? And it's like, no, it was actually said by a fictional character, Mike. Luke explains to one of the Jedi, in this Kylo Ren comic, he explains to one of his Jedi apprentices that Ben is not more powerful in the Force. He's not better. It's just, you have to think of it as like it's a flow of power, right? And it's access.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's like a door that for some people is just a crack open.
Right.
And for people like Ben Solo and for Luke Skywalker, the doors just open more.
Right.
So it's just
Okay.
it just naturally flows a little bit better, but anybody can open the door wider.
Right.
Anybody, not just Jedi, anybody, right? So because there's more to the Force than just the Jedi's perception of it.
Right.
That's just one religion based on the Force.
Right. Well, but that's the thing that's like, okay, so Donnie Yen's character in Rogue One is Force sensitive, but is not a Jedi. Like,
Yes.
could Donnie Yen's character have become a Jedi?
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well,
Had the Jedi Order not been dogmatic in their way of thinking about access to the Force and what a Force sensitive person was. In honesty, there's not really a lot to back this up, but my gut tells me that the reason why Chirrut isn't a Jedi is because he was found too late. Right? Because the Jedi Order had very strict guidelines about what age you could be, which is why Yoda is like, he's too old. Luke is too old to start the training. So let's say that Chirrut wasn't found until he was like 8 or 9 years old. They discovered like this kid has access to the Force. Well, if we leave it, he'll have access, but it's not like he's a risk. He's not a threat. He's not going to become a dark Jedi, right?
right. Okay.
And then in discovering his own access to the Force, he probably followed a path that led him to the Guardians of the Wills, right?
Oh, okay.
It's as a different order. They're different orders, but the Guardians of the Wills are devoted to protecting the Jedi, so they are connected to the Jedi in a way. There's also in the books and comics, Obi-Wan almost didn't get chosen to be Qui-Gon's Padawan, and he was actually starting to age out of the age at which you can become a Padawan learner to graduate from being a youngling to a Padawan. And nobody was selecting him. People kept passing him over, and then Qui-Gon finally picks him. Had he not been selected, he would have actually been shipped off to the Agricorps, which is failed Jedi who use their abilities to basically grow plants. So I don't know if that's still considered canon or not, but that was in there. It's the third act of a movie, and everything's blue, in case you guys were concerned about the fact that we're not talking about this movie. Don't worry, it's about to get cool, but it hasn't gotten there yet. Did Ben show up yet?
No, it's just no, Ben has not shown up.
Okay, yeah, it'll get cool when he shows up.
Don't worry, when he shows up, I'm going to start actually paying attention. And it's like the anger, when your anger strike me down. She's not an angry person. It's so out of character. Like she sort of dealt with her stuff. I don't know. Anyways. It's all good. I do kind of like that they're just like having a grand battle on top of a starship. Like,
yeah, it's neat.
It's kind of cool.
It's neat. Cool. It's definitely a novelty.
Yeah,
for sure.
I also think that it's interesting that these horses had to go through a lot of wardrobe and makeup. Like, it's just like such an interesting
they've got like a thing on their body. Did my audio quality change to you? Do I sound the same?
Yes, but I also didn't notice that Kylo Ren didn't have a scar anymore, so
I'm
maybe not the most perceptive.
Sorry, I'm just hearing more of myself in the monitor, but that's okay. Yeah, they had like a wrap basically on them, but then their faces were exposed, and they just have like motion tracking dots, and then so the faces of the horses were replaced with the aliens.
I like that when Ben jumped on, he said "ow." I just think there's just like so many like cute little,
so that the music there it's the Kylo Ren theme from the previous two movies and from parts of this movie, but it's played in a heroic way, actually in a romantic way, not even heroic. It's like it is. I love it. But it's not on.
Talk about the music in
it's not on the soundtrack.
Oh, right. Oh.
And it's my favorite piece of music. Here, there it is again.
Oh, right. This. Yeah.
So that's the same. Those are the same notes of the when he's bad, it's like bam, 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 bam. And in this, it's like it's airy, right? It's very light because he's Ben Solo now. So it's the Ben Solo theme. It's not on the soundtrack, and it drives me nuts because it's actually one of my favorite pieces of music in the entire saga. And there's a moment coming up
Pretty good.
where Rey's theme, when this fight starts, she actually gets an action version of her theme in this battle,
Cool.
which is more
I
intense
love-
than her usually very light and soft one because they've swapped. A little bit.
Right. Okay, cool. I like that Ben just has this fight, like, basically, like, he just pushes them with the force. Like, that's what he's doing.
He's just
And
barehanded.
it's like, he's just sort of like, I'm gonna. Ugh, it's just such a cool thing. I will say that, like, it's such a payoff for, like, all the stuff that's happened between the two of them the whole movie, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you can grab stuff through the force, and, like, of course, this is what happens. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, don't talk over this. Is the best moment when they look at each other. Ooh, even the score is like nice and like gentle. Aw. Sorry.
I love that because they have a whole conversation without words, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she draws the hand back. I love this because it's such like a lame like magic trick. She's
Yeah.
like, "Ta-da! Where'd the lightsaber go?"
Oh,
and
come
then-
on, though.
oh.
But like then he has it.
This
Oh,
is one of the
love-
best moments in Star Wars. So that's where I say, like,
yeah.
as much as I don't like a lot of things in this movie, I do love this movie. I love Star Wars.
yeah.
And how can you not love
Yeah.
that moment?
Yeah.
And so you hear her theme here, and it's
Oh yeah, it's interesting. It is her theme, but like I was just a little bit more.
It's
action.
just a
That was really
tiny
cool
bit
when
more
he uses
triumphant.
The lightsaber, like to stop the axe blow.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a really cool like. Oh, this fight is so cool. Like with both of them having
Yeah.
their own little fights. It's just.
Those are the troopers that
Oh.
I was talking about that are much cooler
Yeah.
than the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
I love
like
that
the Royal
design.
Guard ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now I just want to go back and watch The Last Jedi and like their.
And there's
throne room fight.
there's the very romantic one because it's like now they're together. And this is the best shot in the entire movie right here. The way that it crosses the axis
Oh,
and then they square off and the framing is
Yeah.
perfect.
oh, so good. But it's like, see, they didn't even get a chance to like deflect anything at all. Like it just like,
Yep.
like even just one moment.
It's so
where they,
anticlimactic.
Like,
It's so anticlimactic
deflected,
because
like,
now it's the rest of this movie
it's
is
now just popping.
just a Transformers movie. It may as well be.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter because
It's just-
it stops being about the emotional context of it. It stops being about the characters' journeys, and it becomes about the special effects.
yeah, like it's just frustrating. Like they couldn't have had like a moment where they deflected his. Like it drives me bananas.
Yeah.
Where how did that happen? I just.
There's
And if
no
they're so powerful, like why aren't they just joining their hands and stopping him from
Yeah.
like grabbing their power? Like that
Because-
could have been like if
because none of this is about the story. This is just about Palpatine. And for some reason, Chris Terrio is obsessed with Palpatine. He thinks he's the best character in Star Wars, I guess. I don't get it. This is unnecessary. Snap didn't need to die.
Snap-
We already
yeah,
know
Snap
how
didn't-
bad things are.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, he is like one of the only people that is named that does. So you know.
yeah. I did talk about this on another podcast. Actually, I talked about this at length, a little bit too long. I had Carl Leclerc from the Wampus Lair on the Quarantine Zone a couple weeks ago, and I kind of talked for basically 20 minutes. As we talked about Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi, and I had said like this moment is so frustrating because we got this moment in Endgame, and it's if in that analogy, Poe is Captain America, and Cap is getting the
right, yeah.
snot beaten out of him. Everybody else is down for the count,
Yeah,
right?
but he still stands back up. Yeah, he still stands up. And
Cap,
he's gonna fight Thanos
it's
on
as
his
if
own.
Cap in that moment dropped the shield, dropped to his knees, and went, "We've lost." But he
Yeah,
doesn't.
like,
What
it's
does
so
Cap do?
frustrating. Yeah.
He stands up, he tightens the shield, and without saying it, he says, "I can do this all day," right?
Yeah.
Because that's Cap, and that's
Yeah.
Poe. He earlier in this movie said like, "We can't give up, never give up," and then he's like, "I
And
give
then
up."
Instead he gives up. Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
then the
so
moment
frustrating.
when everybody shows up would have been powerful if it would have been then, you know, and they shouldn't have all jumped in at once. I know that it's really cool to see all the ships all at once, but it would have been
Just
way
come a little bit
cooler
at a time.
if they would have come in like a squadron at a time and we would have gotten to see references, Easter eggs to other things.
I do like
tying
that
in
that
the whole
moment,
saga.
It's not a navy. It's just people.
Yeah.
I just kind of think that that's like a cute like.
So some stuff to point out in this scene. The Ghost from Star Wars Rebels is there. Another ship from Star Wars Rebels called the Shadowcaster is also there. A bunch of ships from Rogue One are there. But some ones that people may not know about. The characters from Star Wars Resistance are in it. They're actually, I think we may have talked over the shot already. There's a bunch of N1 starfighters from Naboo, which is the ship that Anakin flies in The Phantom Menace. There are tons of really, really great ships in the background of that shot, but none of it matters and none of it is focused on, and it's all just a big blue mess. And it drives me nuts. If you color corrected all of this so that it wasn't just blue and gray with that one little splash of red and yellow, this would all be so much better.
Yeah.
It's so lazy. I think that's my biggest thing, is that this design is so, like, this cinematography is so lazy. This I do pin on J.J. Abrams, because I think that this was him. This is just the end of any other movie. Right. This could be the end of Ninja Turtles. This could be the end of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. It's blue and it's just fighting, but it's not even really fighting. And then this part, I don't like the giant lightning.
No, it's weird though.
It breaks my immersion in Star Wars. It's just like, okay, so this is just a movie then. This isn't Star Wars. This is just any movie. Cool.
Just like all the lightning just coming down. Like I don't know.
But none of the Resistance ships crash in this moment.
Yeah.
They all just fall.
They're very high above the ground. So clearly they're taking longer to fall. I don't know.
Actually, I guess that's true. I think that this shows that that's supposed to indicate that they just died. But we don't actually see that ship explode. But everybody's like, oh, Nine Numb is dead because he was one of the pilots there. And I'm like, yeah, but we don't actually see the ship explode.
Right, yeah.
Everybody else survives, so why wouldn't they?
Maybe it was just their heart stopped first. Sorry. Anakin talks to her in this moment too, though, right? Like...
Yes, I mean, a bunch of Jedi...
I'm gonna watch who it says. Mace. Female
Obi-Wan
Jedi,
talks to him.
Mace,
talks to her first.
Anakin. Alia. Who's
Ayla. Ayla Secura. Mace Windu again. Yoda.
Qui-Gon. Anakin. Female Jedi 3 is what they're calling that person.
So those ones are named characters, but I don't know.
Is actually Qui-Gon?
Yeah, it's actually Liam Neeson. And then Kanan Jarrus has the best. That's Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh, I love Freddie Prinze Jr.
That line, and it coming from Kanan, not retcons, but like fixes everything, because she's been laboring under the false delusion that her power is coming from Palpatine. She's this dark side power is flowing through her. It's that's what's causing all of this. It's Palpatine. It's Palpatine. It's Palpatine. But then Kanan reminds her, in the heart of the Jedi lies her strength. It's not about who your grandparents are. It's not about what's in your blood. It's about who you are and the choices that you make. Right. And that's the thing that really like hits for me. And I think it's meant to, like, the way that he delivers it, it's meant to be the thing that, like, everybody else is like reassuring. And then Kanan is like, now get up and kick his ass. There's the ghost. The ghost was in that shot. And that's, to me, the thing that, like, reminds her of, like, no, it's you. It's not Palpatine's power. It's your power. You are Rey Skywalker. Now do it. End things. Yeah. And she does. But Obi-Wan told her, rise and take your final steps. So she knows going into this that this is going to kill her.
She's gonna die. Yeah.
But she's going to do it anyways.
Because that's what Jedi do.
Yeah. Now, personally, I would have had her pull that lightsaber together and then not walk closer to him and have the lightning bounce back on him like this. I would have had her strike the lightsabers across and like a big bubble sort of thing, and to see her power. Not to see her turn his power back on him, but for her to actually access the power of all of the Jedi and to destroy him. And then that causes this chain reaction.
Well, I mean, but the whole thing is like, isn't that the point that like he destroys himself? Like, I do get that,
Yeah.
like the poignant nature of like it not coming from her, it just being like him. They have to do that with heroes. Like in the big moment when you kill the bad guy, it has to be somewhat the bad guy's fault that you can't have killed them maliciously, right? So I get why they would have maybe done that. So, all right, man,
Good job, Poe. You didn't do
no.
anything. Poe didn't even take out one of the Star Destroyers.
Yeah, he didn't drop. He didn't like. He doesn't even save Finn.
And this is the thing. He's like, it's okay. We still got time. I still got room for one more moment. And then Lando's like, no, I'm gonna steal that from you too. It's fine, Poe. You were supposed to die in the first movie, anyways.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was supposed to literally just start Finn's journey. Like he was supposed to be
and then
the accelerant for Finn's hero's journey, and then die and take on his basically his role.
Then we wouldn't have had that's one hell of a pilot.
We wouldn't.
But
It was because
liked him 'cause
no. So J.J. Abrams came to Oscar Isaac and said, "Hey, I want you to be in Star Wars." And Oscar read the script and was like, "Yeah, this guy dies on like page 12. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna be in Star Wars just to die on page 12." And so he said no. Like he just basically said no. And JJ came back to him like a couple weeks later and was like, "Okay, hear me out. We've expanded your role. You're in the rest of the movie. You're important. You're the best pilot in the galaxy." And then he said yes. So
okay, well, that's fair. Oh, ugh. Sorry, I just really don't like Force sensitive. I don't know why they had to make Finn Force sensitive. Why couldn't he just be Finn?
because it's just crammed in there. That's why we don't like it.
Yeah, I guess so. Like they didn't really give him time to be whoever. Ooh, I wonder who's coming up from under the ground.
There's just nothing in the other two movies to indicate that he's Force sensitive.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing, right?
Kind of the worst. So, like, what was at the bottom of this pit that did Kylo like stop himself with the Force from like falling all the way down? And anyways,
Do you need an answer to that question? Does it matter?
no, I don't. It's fine.
He survived. He survived so that he can die.
Right. Yes.
Now,
Misery.
here, this is the question. This is the Reylo moment. Should he die?
Right.
Do you feel like he should?
I mean,
I'm asking you.
oh, do I feel like
Yeah.
he should? No, I don't feel like he should.
I don't think
I
that
was
you
very-
should either anymore. And had you asked me that, obviously going into it, if you listen to our Last Jedi one, I was like, the
you
only
said
way
that
out of this
the
is for
only
him to
reason-
die.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only way that he can be redeemed. But I realize now, after the fact, and after having examined this and discussed it with other people with viewpoints different from my own, not just my echo chamber, but with other people, if he dies if he sacrifices himself to save Rey, then there is a nice moment of like he's doing this and he's learned what it really means to be his grandfather. Like he's been trying to be his grandfather this whole time, but his grandfather died to save Luke. Right? That's why Anakin dies.
Yeah.
So he's now finally learned that lesson and he understands. Would have been more impactful if Anakin would have been the one talking to him on that precipice rather than Han, but that's a whole other thing. I would have preferred it to have been Anakin.
Oh, it totally should have been.
And it also would have
now
made
you
more
say that.
sense.
Now I'm kind of like, why wasn't that? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
For him to basically be like, I've
okay.
been trying to talk to you this whole time, but Palpatine has been
Right. Has been manipulating it,
guarding
This
you,
is-
basically.
This is gonna maybe be controversial as a diehard Reylo, but I don't think that they should have kissed.
No?
I think that this kiss is sort of weird. Like I just don't know if it was necessary. But I guess I would have preferred that they didn't kiss and that he lived.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because I just think, like, she didn't have to be with him. And so I think that the kiss happens because he dies. Like, but I don't
Yeah.
think that if he had lived that they would have been together. Like, I think that it would have been weird. I don't know what to say. I kind of really wanted her to heal him again, and then it was just like was a back and forth. Like,
Yeah.
sure. No. Anyways.
No, he fades too
I don't
quickly.
think- Yeah, I don't think he should have died.
Yeah, I don't think that he should have died either. I think that there's a lesson to be learned about Anakin is responsible for his actions, but only to the extent that he was manipulated by Palpatine. We know that, right? We don't really know that about Kylo Ren because we're missing a major chunk of his story.
Yeah.
We don't really see in the films just how much Snoke and Palpatine were messing with him. We get the implication at the beginning of this movie where he's like, I have every voice you've ever heard inside your head, right?
Yeah.
And basically like Palpatine was gaslighting him into thinking that he was a bad guy. So he did bad things to be
a bad guy.
What he thought that he was. But was it ultimately him or was it Palpatine's control over him, right?
Right. So
is he responsible for it? I don't know. Like there's a debate there. The problem is that he brings Rey back, which is good. Does that atone for what he did? I don't know.
No,
right?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
But he's Ben, not Kylo. And there's like there is a distinguishing like thing there between the two of them. And like, I don't know. I just think it's like a.
So I think that he should have lived.
I do agree with what you said previously, that the only way that people like, he did too much bad stuff to live. Like, I get that, like, it's hard to, like, how do you redeem a character that is unredeemable?
So my thing was, like, for a long time was, like, yeah, but how would this scene work if he lived? And Rey comes back and Ben is with him. And everybody is like, oh, my God. Why would you bring Kylo Ren here? They know the mask. They don't know the man. Right. The only other person who would understand, the only other two, like actually, I don't think that, no, Poe doesn't ever see his face. Right?
I don't think so.
But Poe knows the whole story, right?
Yeah.
But so it would just be Rey and Finn, really, and maybe a couple of other people who might know. But like that mask is your get out of jail free card. Right. It's the thing. I hate that moment. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah. The Zuri and Poe moment. Yes, it's quite frustrating
because it's just a gag. It's just there as a joke.
Yeah. I do like that they actually have that on-screen like female kiss. I think that's important.
This moment right here. So when Maz says to Chewie, she says, "Chewie, come here." In the theater, I said, "Now kiss," and the person sitting next to me went, "Shh." I was like, "Oh, fine."
No,
sorry.
Come on. But they had.
I don't think that the person sitting on the other side of me enjoyed the movie in the same way that I like to enjoy Star Wars. They didn't appreciate the things that I was cheering for and upset about.
Heckling is half the fun of the movie. Like, I will say, here's the thing. We've been talking through this whole movie, and I've watched the whole movie. Like, I've enjoyed it quite, like, you know.
I mean, it's not opening night, though. It's a little bit different.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yes, it's not like I'm going to sit through and heckle a whole movie the first time.
This scene does not belong in this movie.
Yeah, the Lando and Jenna scene.
So there's a deleted scene, or at least it was in the screenplay at some point, that Lando. You read Last Shot, you know he ends up with someone. They actually end up having a daughter.
I didn't know that.
That daughter would have been about Janna's age, but she was kidnapped by the First Order.
Oh, so it's her. Okay.
It's not her. They've said it's not her. But
because she doesn't know that they lived. Oh, that was beautiful.
But
wait, maybe she did, but
she's supposed to represent that character to him. But you don't know that because they cut it out of the movie. So why is the conclusion to that story still in the movie? They were busy trying to figure out how to cut this movie together. So that's why there's weird editing stuff. I do like
that this last moment is the three of them hugging. I do.
Yep.
It's cute. That was that's like that beautiful like sadness and happiness where she like lost something so important and then like also like got something very important. Right. I always forget actually that this is the last part of the movie. I would have been fine had the other thing been the last part of the movie. I love that the subtitles say Jawas talking Jawa. I just think that's like an interesting like little. The subtitles makes everything more like fun when you're like in something with deep lore.
Yeah, except that Jawas don't speak Jawa; they speak Utanese, but that's all right.
You can write an angry worded letter to Google.
I will.
And let them know.
I will, because I'm pretty sure that on The Mandalorian it says speaking in Utanese when the Jawas were speaking.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I'm surprised that this lasted. Like that it's been like such a long time and it's just still there. Like nobody just moved into the house. Like it just sat there. Nobody like.
Oh, you mean like in story?
One the moisture farm? Yeah, in story.
Not in real life.
Yeah, the set is just sitting there.
Like, well, it was just a movie set, Amanda. It's still there. You can visit it, and it's like just this derelict set in the desert. But yeah. So, but there's an explanation for that, and it's in The Mandalorian. Tatooine is not doing well as a planet. Nobody goes there anymore. It's after the fall of the Empire, everything kind of went bad for them. Their economy disappeared.
Right. That's fair. Oh, right. Yes, the lightsaber. It is very cool. I want her to fight with it. I want to see her fight with it.
Well, that's the thing, is that like she builds her lightsaber and then she just ignites it here, and it's like cool. It would have been really cool to see that in an actual fight.
Yeah.
See her use it, not.
Yeah.
It's like JJ wanted to have his cake and eat it too with that, where he was like, well, I want her to fix the Skywalker lightsaber because I have this moment at the end of the movie where she buries the two Skywalker lightsabers. But I also want everybody to get to see her new lightsaber. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's fair. Ugh, Rey Skywalker.
You don't like that she's Rey Skywalker?
Yeah, I do. If she actually was Rey Skywalker, like,
no, I think that had she been a nobody, had she continued to be a nobody,
and then she was Skywalker,
and then say that she was Rey Skywalker, it would have been just as meaningful to me. I mean, it would have been more meaningful to me, but
it was more meaningful to me if she wasn't anybody and then she took on the name of Skywalker. Yeah. It's stupid.
I mean, like, I do think that from the outset, from the first movie, that's where the character was heading, and
to be
like that by the end of the saga, the end of the trilogy, that she would be a Skywalker. That's why we never got her first name.
Yeah.
But
no, and it's good. I do like that. It's cool.
Yeah.
Go John Williams.
So there we go. I posted a poll on Twitter, and it has 21 votes. It's got 12 hours and 2 minutes left as of this live recording over my Twitter, Arkwolf, ARKWULF on Twitter. And it just got 2 more votes. And I asked, what color would Ben Solo's new lightsaber blade have been if he survived JJ? I mean, the Rise of Skywalker. And my options are blue, green, white, and purple. What's your vote?
Where? I can't find it. I'm looking at your Twitter.
Well, you don't have to find it.
Blue,
I'm just
green, white. White would have been so cool. I don't know. Blue, green, white, or purple. Well, I don't know if I want him to be purple, and I don't think blue or green is like. I don't know. They're too like basic, blue and green.
So his original lightsaber was blue, and then
basic.
So the process to make a red lightsaber crystal is that you bleed the crystal. It's a whole thing in the lore, but so it's the same crystal technically. He turns it red
into blue, into red. Yeah, okay, cool.
But then he tosses that lightsaber, so it's not going to be that lightsaber. It's going to be a new crystal. He'll have to go find a new crystal, right? Yeah. Personally, I think it should be purple. And in all of my fan fiction, and by fan fiction I mean my art,
purple?
Like my fan art, it will be purple, because purple is the combination of red and blue. So from a story perspective,
it makes sense.
There's a reason for him to have a purple lightsaber.
Can I revote? I want to revote.
Nope. Let's do it.
I want to vote for purple.
Cast your vote. What did you vote for? White?
White. Because it's like a purity thing.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like it's like a.
But he's not pure. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. It's okay that he survives even though he's not pure.
Yeah. That's right.
So I was saying before, like he doesn't really get to atone for his actions. He doesn't he doesn't get to make up for all of the bad that he did, all of the evil that he did. Now, by saving Rey, you could argue that he does. That by saving her, she will go out into the galaxy and rebuild the Jedi Order, and they'll do a lot of good. So that makes up for everything else that he did. He destroyed one Jedi Order, but he ensured the survival of the Jedi Order at the end. So that kind of atones for that. It doesn't really atone for blowing up entire star systems or planets or murdering villagers. Although he never really does any of that himself, he is a party to it. And he does a lot of torturing and that sort of thing. But yeah, I do think that he should have had an opportunity to offer restitution, to do something in the galaxy, to follow in the footsteps of his family, his father, who was a criminal that we all forgave because he did good stuff, his mother, who was a diplomat and politician, his grandfather, obviously, who committed incredible atrocities, but he actually did that himself, and his uncle, who let's just say, like, Luke was a little bit careless. I think one of the reasons why Luke in The Last Jedi is so down on the legend of Luke Skywalker is because after the events of Return of the Jedi, he kind of drank his own Kool-Aid, right? Like, it was a little bit high on his own supply and was like, I am Jedi Grand Master Luke Skywalker. And it's like, well, but would you be if there were other Jedi? Or are you because there are no other Jedi? Because you're the only one left. Like, yeah, okay, you're the son of the chosen one. You restored balance to the Force. You were the New Hope. But, like, why does that make you better than other Jedi? And does that actually mean that you have all of the knowledge and whatever? So I think, like, he comes to that realization, but he comes to it far too late. That he wasn't prepared, much like Obi-Wan wasn't prepared to train Anakin, that he wasn't prepared to restart the Jedi Order. So he figures no Jedi Order. I think the interesting thing will be when we do get further stories with Rey. How quickly does she establish a new Jedi Order? Does she just go out and do it immediately, or does she take her time and train one Jedi at a time? And build up the order.
Because she's smarter.
It's small, and it's not really rebuilt until like 1,000 years, right? Yeah. Whereas Luke he started a temple, he got a bunch of students, and he didn't really give any one of them enough attention, including the most dangerous one, his own nephew. Yeah. And that's his mistake, right? So. Yeah.
His own hubris.
Yeah. So. Okay.
I am so hungry.
Yeah.
Do we have to watch all these credits, or are we?
I mean, if we're doing a real commentary, we got to go all the way through the 10 minutes of credits left. What is it? No, it's not. It's like 3 minutes. You'll be fine.
That's fair.
4 minutes.
Will I? Can I survive 3 more minutes?
Right?
Okay. Do I have to come up with a ranking, or are we doing it after?
We'll do the ranking right now. That's what we'll talk over the credits, and we'll do the ranking. So, okay. This is really easy. We'll start at our number 1. Is this better than The Last Jedi?
No, it's not better than The Last Jedi.
Is this better than The Force Awakens?
No.
Is it better than Return of the Jedi?
No.
Is it better than Empire Strikes Back?
Well, no, that's just because The Empire Strikes Back has to have a certain amount of cachet in its film.
Also, it's just not as good as The Empire Strikes Back. Is it as good as the original Star Wars?
No.
No. Is it better than Revenge of the Sith? This is where the question is.
Yeah.
Because I think it's definitely better than Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Yes, but is it better than...
Is it better than Revenge of the Sith?
Well, considering I think in my lifetime I've only watched Revenge of the Sith twice, and I only remember like 2 scenes from it, I am going to say yes, because of the Reylo factor. Because I just could GAF about Anakin and Padme. Like, they just are so blasé for me. So yeah, sure. I'll say that this is better than... For me, yes.
And I would agree. I think that this is a much better movie than Revenge of the Sith. I think it also actually suffers from a lot of the problems that Revenge of the Sith has. The story moves way too quick. They try and pack in way too much into a 2.5 hour film. And they started at the end and they wrote backwards. which is exactly what you have to do with Revenge of the Sith. You know that he becomes Vader, so you have to then write backwards and figure out why.
Right.
They started at the end, which is killing Palpatine. Palpatine is back, so we have to kill Palpatine. Okay, now go backwards. How do we find Palpatine? What's going to happen? We need 2 lightsabers. Ben has to have a blue lightsaber. How do we do that? Okay, we give it to it's Leia's lightsaber. Okay, Leia is a Jedi. Who's the one training Rey? Does she need to be trained? Right? Like you can see how it comes together in reverse, which is very much how Revenge of the Sith works. Which is not continuing a story. That's attempting to complete a story, and then going backwards, which is a great way to write a mystery, but not the great way to end a 9-film saga, I don't think. Yeah. And does this complete the 9-film saga? No, it doesn't. No. There's no closure with the character of Rey. We get closure on Ben Solo. We get closure on the genetic bloodline of the Skywalkers.
Which I guess is maybe the point, like, or what they thought they were supposed to do, but it's not necessarily what they're supposed to do.
We certainly get closure on Palpatine's story, but the only reason we get closure on Palpatine's story is because they reopened it. We had closure. He got thrown down a Death Star reactor and exploded, and then the Death Star exploded into little bits of stardust. Right? Like it's a really heavy retcon to say, like, well, actually it exploded into a debris field, and then the moons orbiting Endor passed through that debris field, and a lot of that debris has ended up on these various moons. And it's like, okay, cool. You've just written a Star Trek story. That's not Star Wars.
That's fair.
So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, better than Revenge of the Sith, but not better than any of the original trilogy or the other 2 sequel movies. Now, let's really quickly just say Rogue One and Solo. Is Rise of Skywalker better than either of those movies?
I don't think so, but that's just because I quite like Solo and Rise of Skywalker, or
and
Solo
One.
and Rogue One.
I would put Rogue One just above Rise of Skywalker. Which is very controversial, and I think that people will be surprised to hear me say that. Because I'm really down on Rogue One a lot of the time, but that's just 'cause there's just some screenwriting stuff in Rogue One that drives me nuts. Right. But in general, I think it's a much tighter story.
It's very clean. Yeah. And it has like an arc, and the characters change, and it's cool.
The change of the way that oh my God, what's her name? Jin changes is my biggest problem with the movie. The way that the third act, all of a sudden she's Princess Leia and she's not her character anymore. But that's people know how I feel about that. Anyways, and Solo is my favorite Star Wars movie. So,
well, there you go.
But there it is. The Rise of Skywalker. There's our watch along. We did it. We watched the whole thing with you guys. We ranked it. The Skywalker saga is ranked. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you enjoyed the watch along and if we should do other watch alongs of preferably shorter films. Not 2.5 hours necessarily. But hey, I got a bunch of movies on my Google Play page right here that would be great fun to do a watch along. Spider-Verse, I don't know, Pacific Rim, the Spider-Man movies, Avengers Endgame, any of the Jurassic movies except for that last one because I don't own it, because why would I want to watch that again? Knives Out, Mad Max Fury Road.
I love Mad Max Fury Road. I did just rewatch that one. I like all of Disney Plus is now there too, so we could watch a bunch of Disney Plus stuff.
Have you seen Alita Battle Angel? Have you watched it?
I have not watched it yet.
I wouldn't want you to watch it for the first time as part of a watch along, but you should watch Alita Battle Angel.
Well, we did that didn't we do that for
Top Gun, and it did not go well. It didn't go well.
Oh, really? Oh,
I don't think that it went well. And I mean, like, I know that you never would have watched that movie under any other context. So, it's fine. I know that you've seen Top Gun because I forced you to sit and talk about it. But, yeah, I mean, it was not an ideal way to watch Top Gun. That's for sure. I don't think you didn't really like Top Gun by the end of it, did you?
It was all right.
You're allowed to say that you don't like it. It's fine.
I don't dislike Top Gun. I just have. You know what made me like Top Gun more is watching Captain Marvel, which I've now seen like a bajillion times. I've just realized like how much I've been watching Captain Marvel. I made my parents watch it last night.
I've got that here on my Google Play as well. Anything that I have a digital copy for. Another Tom Cruise movie, Oblivion, but I don't. Have you seen Oblivion?
No.
You don't like Tom Cruise. That's kind of
He's not my favorite.
That's a speed bump to you enjoying it. Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. Those would be fun watch-alongs.
I have never watched the third one.
Oh my god. What you just sometimes it's better for you to just keep these things to yourself and then go and watch the movie, Amanda.
Okay, I'm sorry. I watched the one with the Western.
That's the third one.
Oh, okay. Wait, maybe I watched part of it then. I don't really remember what happened. That one wasn't as good as the other ones, I don't think.
No,
but
of course it's not.
I definitely have seen the original, and I've watched the. Okay, then maybe I haven't watched the second one.
So I've got a lot of movies to do watch-alongs with other people.
Okay. It's fine. You can do whatever you need to do.
No.
Okay.
No, but let us know if you enjoyed the watch-along and if you want us to do more stuff like this. I mean, like, it's basically just us doing what we do on Quiver, right?
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much.
But that's it. That's it for this episode of the Thunderquack podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Of course, the Thunderquack podcast is the official podcast of thunderquack.com. Head to thunderquack.com to check out all the other great podcasts in the network. And if you like you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thunderquack, on Twitter at thunderquackpod, and on Instagram. Oh man, that's the one that I don't know. Is Instagram just at thunderquack? Somebody tell me quick. You don't know. Amanda doesn't know. Thunderquack podcast on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Arkwolf, ARKWULF.
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Akonkin, AKONKIN. You can add an 86 to that for Instagram.
And if you like what you heard, you can support us in 3 ways. First, by going into the podcast service of your choice and leaving a preferably positive rating and review. It helps other people know that we exist, even at all. That's how a lot of people find their podcasts, apparently, is by ratings, and it helps the algorithms or something. I don't know. But it helps. The other ways are by going to store.thunderquack.com and picking up some merchandise. I really need to get in there, add some new stuff. I haven't added anything new in a long time, but maybe in the next couple weeks I'll put some stuff together. Probably not. Maybe. And last but not least is by heading to patreon.com/thunderquack. It was a watch along, so the Patreon producers are going to get their shout out here. Here's the real question: where do I put the ad break? Where do I put the mid-roll ad break? It's going to have to go in right before we start the movie, but I should have thought about that beforehand. But thank you to our Patreon producers who support us over there, Jason Samuel and Brian Murowski. But thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Your support means the world to us, and that's awesome. So go to patreon.com/thunderquack, kick in, get some cool rewards, and it starts at $1 a month, which is not very much. But I've been saying this a lot lately, and I will say it again. We don't necessarily need your support right now. If you're listening to this in the future after the coronavirus pandemic has calmed down and we're going back to our normal lives, then maybe consider it. If you have disposable income right now, I highly suggest donating it to your local food bank, or any of the global or local COVID-19 relief funds that are out there. There's a lot of different places that you can donate to right now. And if you've already done that and you want to donate to something different, your local science institutions. So if you've got like research institutions or anything like an aquarium or a science center that does a lot of education and research as part of their facilities, but that are funded by ticket revenue, they're really hurting right now. So I know that locally we have 2 that are really, really hurting. The Vancouver Aquarium, which is the basically the revenue generator for the Canadian wildlife, like marine mammal rescue service, which they rehabilitate over 150 animals every year, and generally like release them back into the wild. So stuff like that really relies on funding from patrons at those sorts of institutions like aquariums. They're really, really hurting. So if you can do that, if you've got that disposable income, I highly suggest that that's where that money should go, until such time that things return to normal and they can function properly. And then you can do something like support a silly podcast where we talk over a Star Wars movie. Just to be a little bit altruistic and not just trying to grab money from everybody.
We appreciate you listening with the ads. I do think that that's like a biggest thing that people don't understand, and it's something that I have a really hard time with as well, is that this actually is a pretty perfect time for us to have switched over to an ad model, because it does allow us to like not have to solicit so much from people to help us pay for things through Patreon, but that if you can just like be okay with the fact that there's ads in our podcast, you're already helping a lot by not complaining about the ads. And I appreciate it, because I feel so guilty every time I have to add ads to podcasts. I'm like, oh, nobody wants to listen to these. But we thank you. And hope that you just, understand ads are part of a,
it's just the nature of it.
now.
It's just the nature of it.
Yeah.
Look, it is a free podcast unless you want to pay to remove the ads. But that's it for this week's episode. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for sticking with us throughout the entirety of the Rise of Skywalker. Hopefully we weren't too negative. I feel like we did talk about a lot of the stuff that we loved as well.
There's good points. Yeah. It's fun. It's Star Wars.
Maybe we should just work backwards and go and do The Last Jedi next, and then just go. I don't want to watch the prequels like this. No. I love the prequels for what they are, but I don't want to watch them. I have to watch them with Kara, and that's enough. Because she hasn't seen them yet. But thank you guys for listening. Thanks for supporting us, and we will catch you next week.
Stay safe, everybody. Wash your hands and be kind to one another.